Why did these words seem to have a hidden meaning? The butler was slightly startled. Before he had time to think, Shi Fengju said, "Why aren't you leaving?" He was so frightened that he hurriedly left. In the evening, Shi Fengju took Sang Wan out in a carriage. The two of them had dinner at the Misty Rain House by the West Lake, and then strolled into the city. Hangzhou was the wealthiest city in the world. At night, everywhere was brightly lit, and there were many shops with dazzling goods. People came and went, and it was as lively as it was during the day. There was no lack of goods here, especially all kinds of silk brocades, gold and silver ornaments, rouge and face powder, antique furnishings, and the most prosperous and famous. Fashionable designs that could not be seen anywhere else, rare and precious goods that could not be bought could all be found here. The two of them got off the carriage. Sang Wan put on a gauze hat and walked hand in hand with Shi Fengju. Everywhere they passed, people would exclaim in admiration. Shi Fengju took her to an entire street that sold high-end goods. There weren't many people, but all the goods were exquisite. Shi Fengju wanted to pull her into a tall and majestic jewelry shop, but Sang Wan smiled and said, "I can't even wear all the jewelry you gave me. What's the point of buying more? Let's go shopping somewhere else." Shi Fengju smiled and said, "Let's go in and take a look first. We have to bring some things home since we came out. You can pick a set for mother, second aunt, and third aunt. Later, I'll take you to a shop owned by a Westerner. It's full of novel Western goods. I think you'll like it." Hearing him say this, Sang Wan had no choice but to agree with a smile. The two of them went in together. The people who entered this shop weren't ordinary people. The shopkeeper and the shop assistants all had a pair of sharp eyes. Although the two of them didn't wear luxurious clothes, the shopkeeper glanced at Sang Wan's hairbun and saw the half-blooming magnolia white jade hairpin. He hurriedly greeted them with a smile. "Madam, this Shang Pin Lu is a famous shop in Hangzhou that has been around for more than 100 years. The things here are the best. Do you see anything you like?" Shi Fengju said with a smile. He leaned closer to her and whispered, "Wan Yang, I don't think I've taken you to buy jewelry with me. You should pick a few things. Young master has good eyesight. Our Shang Pin Lu's products are without a doubt. We have the best craftsmen and jewelry. The jewelry we make is unique and unique. You can't see it anywhere else. Even the things in the capital can't compare to ours." The shopkeeper chimed in with a smile on his face. Sang Wan smiled at Shi Fengju. "Since you've said so, if I don't pick a few things, wouldn't I be letting you down?" Shi Fengju chuckled and said to the shopkeeper, "My madam might not be interested in ordinary things. If you have something good, take it out." Hearing his tone, he wanted to see his private collection of treasures. The shopkeeper was a little embarrassed. Although the people who entered the shop were all customers and ordinary people wouldn't step in, the private collection of treasures in their Shang Pin Lu wasn't something that ordinary people could afford. It wasn't something that just anyone could look at. "There are a lot of good things on the counter here. Young master and madam, why don't you take a look first? Maybe there's something suitable." The shopkeeper was very enthusiastic as he led them to the shelves with a smile. The shelves in Shang Pin Lu had already been replaced with Western glass. They were clean and transparent and could be seen at a glance. Every item was marked with a price. His intention was to let them look at the price first before saying anything. Shi Fengju understood his intention. He gently hugged Sang Wan and said with a smile, "Madam, let's go take a look first." Sang Wan didn't care. She smiled and said, "En," and walked over with him. Although it was late at night, the shop was brightly lit. It didn't affect the quality of the jewelry at all. The shopkeeper wasn't exaggerating. Gold, jade, and all kinds of gemstones were embedded in each other. The golden threads were coiled around the ornaments and the carvings were exceptionally delicate and exquisite. The shapes were also unique and ingenious. Matched with pearls, gemstones, jadeite, agate, and red coral, they were brilliant and dazzling. The shopkeeper carefully took out a phoenix head ornament with pearls in its mouth. "Madam is graceful and generous. This ornament is very suitable for madam. Why don't madam try it?" Sang-won and Shi Fengju looked over and saw the phoenix head looking back. Its wings were behind it, and it dragged 5 tail feathers of different shapes. The tail feathers were embedded with teardrop-shaped rubies, sapphires, and emeralds of the same size. The body of the phoenix was decorated with fine rice pearls and golden threads. The golden color set off the spotlessly white rice pearls and resplendent gemstones. The bottom of the ornament was supported by golden auspicious clouds. It was especially dazzling. Shi Fengju looked at Sang-won with a smile. Sang-won shook her head slightly and said with a smile, "It's too dazzling. I don't like this kind of ornament. Even if I buy it, I'm afraid I won't be able to wear it more than a few times. Moreover, I already have 4 or 5 ornaments with pearls in its mouth. I don't want it." Shi Fengju naturally agreed with her and signaled the shopkeeper to put it back. The shopkeeper introduced a few more ornaments, but Sang-won didn't like any of them. Shi Fengju smiled at the shopkeeper and said, "My madam doesn't like them. You can pick 2 of them for me. I'll bring them home as gifts for my 2 elders. Take us to the ones that are better." The shopkeeper saw that he was playing it down and felt a burst of joy in his heart. He picked a pair of emerald hibiscus hairpins and a pair of jade rabbit hairpins with auspicious grass in its mouth. Shi Fengju didn't even look at the price. He nodded and said, "I'll take these 2. In a moment, find me 2 exquisite boxes to put them in." The shopkeeper hurriedly agreed with a smile. He handed the items to the shop assistant and gave him some instructions. Only then did he lead Sang-won and Shi Fengju to the back hall. Shi Fengju said with a smile that wasn't a smile, "Your Shang-Pin-Lu's rules are quite strict." The shopkeeper smiled and said, "Sir, please don't lower yourself to my level. To tell you the truth, there are a lot of swindlers these days. It's not easy to do business. Please forgive me if I've neglected you." "That's true. I've made things difficult for you." Shi Fengju smiled. "It's good that you understand." The shopkeeper hurriedly smiled. The shopkeeper seemed to want to make up for his previous neglect. He presented the best things in the shop. There were the latest and most exquisite ornaments. There were also some that were carefully preserved and handed down from ancient times. The shopkeeper introduced the items in an endless stream. He wanted to talk about each and every one of them to the heavens. Shi Fengju smiled and looked at Sang-won. "Madam, do you see anything that you like?" Sang-won smiled. She only took a set of Guanyin Bodhisattva's design. It was inlaid with gold inlaid with jade heart, hair covering, flower ornaments, flower hairpins, and so on. She smiled and said, "Can I buy these 2 and give them to Mother? I think Mother will like them." The shopkeeper hurriedly smiled and said, "Madam has good taste. This set of jade Guanyin ornaments is an item from the Tang dynasty's palace. It passed through the hands of our boss. Who knows which concubine has worn it? Look at the corner of each piece. It has the mark of the Tang dynasty's imperial workshop and the mark of the famous craftsman, Yu Hezi. This Zhennan bead bracelet is also an antique item that is more than 200 years old. It has the entire set of Diamond Sutra engraved on it. It's perfect to buy it and give it to the elderly. This is a good thing for accumulating good karma. When the old madam sees it, she will definitely praise you for your filial piety." Sang-won listened and unconsciously nodded. She looked at Shi Fengju to ask for his opinion. "It's rare for you to be so considerate. Then let's buy it and take it back." Shi Fengju looked at her with a gentle gaze. The shopkeeper carefully picked out the 2 items and said with a smile, "The jade Guanyin's heart costs 160,000 taels. This Zhennan bead bracelet costs 80,000 taels. I won't tell the 2 of you the difference." Shi Fengju didn't comment, but said, "Is there anything else? My madam hasn't picked anything that she's satisfied with yet." The shopkeeper suddenly felt a bit awkward. He had been in this business for nearly 30 years and had long become a sophisticated person. He could see that this madam's mind wasn't on this. It was just that her husband insisted on picking something that she was satisfied with, and she didn't want to refuse his good intentions. After thinking for a moment, the shopkeeper's eyes suddenly lit up. He hurriedly said with a smile, "This little one almost forgot. We still have a good thing here. Maybe it can enter Madam's eyes. Please wait a moment. This little one will go and get it. Chapter 271. No. Shi Fengming hurriedly smiled and said, "In the future, there will be many things that I need your help with. How could I not be willing?" He even said, "you." Shi Fengju seemed to be unable to remember when he had been so polite to him. He couldn't help but feel sour in his heart. He sat down in the carriage and sighed. "Second brother, no matter what you see later, you have to listen to me. Don't worry, big brother. I will listen to you. I will definitely listen to you." Shi Fengming was full of excitement. How could he think of anything else? Shi Fengju couldn't bear to see him like a lackey, so he didn't say anything else. The carriage drove for less than an hour before stopping at a lavish restaurant called Willow Manor. This restaurant was built on the edge of West Lake between the green willows and peach trees. The surroundings were filled with fresh flowers and decorated with lake tie stones. A pond was dug in front of the door to draw water from West Lake into the restaurant. There were all kinds of water lilies and many waterfowl such as mandarin ducks and mallard ducks. The back of the restaurant was close to West Lake. When one pushed open the window and looked into the distance, one could see a vast expanse of mist and water. "Let's go in," Shi Fengju said after getting off the carriage. Shi Fengming finally sensed that something was wrong. He looked at his big brother suspiciously, nodded, and followed his footsteps. Those who could dine here were all rich people. Hearing the sound of the carriage, the shopkeeper came out to greet them. Shi Fengju and many of his peers had dined here several times. The shopkeeper recognized him and hurriedly greeted him with a smile. Shi Fengju greeted him with a smile but didn't introduce Shi Fengming. Then, under the shopkeeper's personal guidance, they went to the private room on the second floor. The row of windows were wide open. As far as the eye could see, there was a silver light dancing on the surface of the lake. Pleasure boats floated on the surface of the lake slowly. They cut through the blue water, dragging out ripples like fish scales. The distant mountains spread out gently. They were green and solid, surrounding the vast lake. There were towers at the top of several mountains. Looking from afar, the scenery was profound and indescribable. Although the scenery was beautiful and the sight was enough to open one's heart, Shi Fengming did not have the leisure to linger around. He probed Shi Fengju with a smile. "Big brother, did you arrange to meet Qing'er here?" Shi Fengju withdrew his gaze and said with a smile, "You can say that." Shi Fengming heaved a sigh of relief and said with a smile, "If I had known earlier, I would have invited sister-in-law over. The scenery here is not bad. I think sister-in-law will like it too." Shi Fengju snorted and said, "Don't talk too much about your sister-in-law. She doesn't need you to tell her what she likes." Shi Fengming replied with an "oh," feeling a little wronged. He thought to himself, "Big brother's words are so jealous. Sister-in-law is obviously a decent woman. How could I have any thoughts about her? Bah, what nonsense am I thinking about? What does being a decent woman have to do with having thoughts?" Eldest sister-in-law was indeed eldest sister-in-law. The waiter served a pot of good quality Longjing tea. Shi Fengju leisurely tasted the tea. Shi Fengming waited, but he felt a little restless. It had been a long time. Why hadn't Qing'er arrived yet? Could it be that she couldn't find the place? "Big brother, why don't I go to the door to take a look and welcome Qing'er while I'm at it?" Shi Fengming suddenly stood up. "Sit down," Shi Fengju said lightly. "Are you afraid that she can't find the place?" "Don't worry." Shi Fengming still wanted to fight, but when he met Shi Fengju's warning gaze, he remembered what he had promised him and could only sit down unhappily. Not long after, footsteps and voices came from the private room beside them. Shi Fengju raised his eyebrows slightly, but he remained seated. Gradually, Shi Fengming's expression became more and more unsightly. He couldn't be more familiar with that voice. After living together for 2 years, he would recognize it even if it turned into ashes. The sound of a man and a woman flirting became more and more unbearable. The veins on Shi Fengming's forehead bulged, and his clenched fists trembled uncontrollably. He stood up abruptly and wanted to rush over. Shi Fengju grabbed his arm and warned him, "Don't act recklessly. Have you forgotten what I said again? Why does this voice sound so similar? I want to see who it is." Shi Fengming gritted his teeth. His voice was filled with endless shock and pain. Shi Fengju stared at him with his deep eyes. "You still haven't given up?" Shi Fengming's face turned ghastly pale. He suddenly raised his head and stared at Shi Fengju with a burning gaze. "You planned this, didn't you?" "It was you." Shi Fengju's expression didn't change. He said lightly, "Can you tell that she was forced?" As if to confirm Shi Fengju's words, Su Qing giggled at the right time. Her bell-like laughter filled Shi Fengming's eardrums. He heard it clearly. She giggled and said, "Sir, you're so annoying. You're always bullying me." Then, the man's lecherous and disgusting voice was heard. "Haha. Annoying? Don't you like it when I bully you? The more I bully you, the more excited you get. Bastard." Shi Fengming couldn't bear it anymore and rushed forward. He felt as if his heart had been torn into two pieces. His chest was filled with indescribable resentment, and it was about to explode. "Second brother." Shi Fengju warned him in a low voice and grabbed him even harder. "How long are you going to make a fuss?" "Enough." Shi Fengming said angrily, "I treat you as my elder brother. I didn't expect you to scheme against me. This must be your trick, right? You look down on Qing so you used such despicable means to break us up." Shi Fengju sneered. If it wasn't for her nature, how could she have turned to someone else so easily? "I did scheme against her, but she had to be willing to cooperate. You were under house arrest in the villa, and she never showed up. If you don't believe me, you can go back and ask the gatekeeper. She saw that she had no hope of marrying into our family, so it's normal for her to find someone else. Why can't you understand?" "I don't understand. I just don't understand. I'm not as scheming as you are." Shi Fengming shouted as he pushed Shi Fengju away. He rushed out of the private room and kicked open the door next door. "Eldest young master." Chong Huan's face turned pale, and she was at a loss. He had been following Su Qing for the past few days and grasped her movements. That was why he had made the arrangements in advance today. He was very clear about this matter. However, he hadn't expected the second young master to have such a strong reaction. "Let's go and take a look." Shi Fengju's expression was a little ugly, and he also walked out. At that moment, the private room next door fell into silence. The two people inside were stunned by Shi Fengming, the uninvited guest. Official Lu came back to his senses and slammed the table as he scolded, "Damn it! Where did this bastard come from? How dare you barge into my territory? Are you tired of living? What are you doing? Why didn't you guard the door properly? Why did you let any Tom, Dick, or Harry in?" He reprimanded the few servants who had hurriedly followed him in. A few of the servants hurriedly admitted their guilt and hurriedly stepped forward to pull Shi Fengming away. Their mouths were filled with profanities and insults. Shi Fengming struggled, but he stared at Su Qing without blinking. There was pain, shock, anger, expectation, and even pleading in his eyes. "Qing Shi Fengming shouted. "Qing say something. Qing as long as you say something, I'll leave immediately." Shi Fengming shook off the servants and stared at Su Qing. Official Lu was stunned. He signaled for everyone to let go of Shi Fengming with his eyes and deliberately pulled Su Qing closer to him. He lifted Su Qing's smooth and delicate chin frivolously with one hand and said with a chuckle, "Baby, where did this poor man come from? Is he an old acquaintance of mine? Let go of her." Shi Fengming was furious and glared at Official Lu fiercely. His eyes were about to spurt fire. Senior Official Lu laughed heartily with an indescribable smug expression. He didn't say anything and only glanced at Su Qing with interest. This girl's skill in bed was excellent. Her appearance was also outstanding. She was also intelligent and could talk. Officer Lu was very satisfied with her. Seeing other men come knocking on his door, he didn't feel angry. Instead, he felt a little excited. Qing had abandoned this man and turned to him. It could be seen that he was still very charming. Qing, say something. Shi Fengming's eyes were filled with pain. The moment Su Qing saw him, her heart couldn't help but tremble. Although she was calm and realistic, she knew that Shi Fengming was sincere to her. Furthermore, the two of them had been together for more than 2 years and hundreds of days and nights. It would be a lie to say that she didn't miss him. However, what was the use of that? It was impossible for her to enter the Shi family's door. Not to mention the attitude of Second Lord Shi and Second Madam, she couldn't handle Shi Fengju. She couldn't enter the Shi family, and Shi Fengming didn't have any money. Was she supposed to lead a hard life with him? Just thinking about such a life was like a nightmare to her. How could she turn a nightmare into a reality? Life was bitter and short. The most important thing was to have a good life and enjoy it in time, not to work hard and run around just for 3 meals a day. In an instant, Su Qing calmed down. At the same time, she made a decision in her heart. She raised her eyebrows and smiled at Shi Fengming. "Young master, didn't I say that we're finished? We're finished. Why are you still pestering me? You'd better leave quickly. I don't want to see you again." Official Lu was close to 50 years old and wasn't as outstanding as him. However, it was enough that he could give her what she wanted. Qing Shi Fengming looked as if he had been stabbed by a knife. He revealed an extremely sad and painful expression. "You don't mean it, do you? You have your difficulties, don't you? Is this person threatening you and forcing you to do something? Is that right? Qing, tell me. I'll help you. I'll definitely help you." Official Lu sneered. "Lad, do you know who I am? How dare you talk to me like that? How dare you? I won't bicker with you today for the sake of the beauty. If you don't get lost, I'll throw you into the West Lake to feed the turtles." Shi Fengming sneered. He didn't even glance at Official Lu. Instead, he looked at Su Qing fervently. Su Qing felt a little sad, but she immediately became tough again. She sneered and said disdainfully, "What nonsense are you talking about? I don't like you anymore. Don't you understand? Stop talking nonsense and sowing discord here. I won't bicker with you, so why don't you get lost? Otherwise, don't blame me for disregarding our old friendship." Chapter 272. Senior Official Lu laughed heartily. He lowered his head and kissed Su Qing's cheek gently. Then, he said with a smile, "How can Qing disregard our old friendship? I can't wait to open my eyes." When Su Qing saw that Shi Fengming refused to leave, the pity in her heart quickly turned into impatience and resentment. If he wasn't incompetent and couldn't protect her from Shi Fengju, she wouldn't have made such a plan. Now that she had already found a way out, why was he still pestering her? What did he want? Go back with him? What a joke. If she went back with him, she would still be chased out. Since he couldn't protect her, why did he have to pretend to be a saint of love and make her feel disgusted? Su Qing's eyes flickered. She raised her eyebrows and smiled charmingly at Senior Official Lu. She gently pressed her fair palm against Senior Official Lu's chest and took advantage of the situation to stand up. Then, she leisurely walked toward Shi Fengming. Qing Shi Fengming was overjoyed and his eyes flickered brightly. However, in the next second, there was a crisp slap as Su Qing gave him a ruthless slap on his cheek. The burning pain instantly assaulted him. Shi Fengming was stunned and said in disbelief, "Qing Senior Official Lu slapped the table and laughed heartily. "Good job, Qing You're so shrewish. I like your character." Upon seeing this, the servants also laughed and joined in the fun. They looked at Shi Fengming as if they were looking at a monkey who was playing tricks and amusing people. After the slap, Su Qing looked at Shi Fengming's shocked, painful, and incredulous expression. Suddenly, a great sense of pleasure and revenge surged in her heart. Did he know how hard it had been for her during those few days when he had been enjoying life in the manor? Did he care about her at all? Did he take the initiative to look for her? Now that she had found a new way out, he had jumped out. Was he deliberately not giving her a good life? Su Qing bit her lip and sneered. She raised her hand to slap her again, but someone caught her hand in mid-air and held her hand tightly. Su Qing was in so much pain that she frowned. She raised her eyes and glared at Shi Fengju angrily. When she saw his icy gaze and frosty expression, her heart couldn't help but tremble. She turned to look pitifully at Minister Lu for help. Shi Fengming only felt that the woman in front of him was so unfamiliar that he could not believe that she was the delicate woman who had lived with him for hundreds of days and nights. What else did he not understand? She was controlled by her brother and would rather turn to that disgusting man for help than look at him. Shi Fengming turned around and rushed out. Chong Huan exclaimed, "Second young master." She hurriedly followed him. Shi Fengju pushed Su Qing hard, causing her to stumble and fall to the ground. She looked up at Shi Fengju with indescribable hatred in her eyes. "Minister!" Tears welled up in Su Qing's eyes. Minister Lu didn't look at her, but hurriedly got up and went forward. He cupped his hands and smiled at Shi Fengju. "Why is young Master Shi here?" "Ha ha! What a coincidence!" "Minister Lu." Shi Fengju cupped his hands and greeted him with a smile. He glanced at Su Qing and said with a smile, "My younger brother is insensible and has offended Minister Lu. Please be magnanimous and don't lower yourself to his level." High Official Lu was startled and hastily said, "Just now, that young master is. High Official Lu was full of regret. Rubbing his hands together, he said with a smile, "This is really a case of the flood rushing against the Dragon King's temple. Young Master Shi, please don't blame me." "What are you talking about?" Shi Fengju smiled and said, "My younger brother is young and insensible. He was rude first. How can you blame me? Minister Lu, please go ahead. I'll take my leave first." Okay. Minister Lu smiled. "Let's meet again another day. Young master, please." He originally wanted to say that he would return Su Qing to Shi Fengju, but it seemed that Shi Fengju was eager for his brother to be separated from Su Qing. Thus, he tactfully didn't say anything. Official Lu personally sent Shi Fengju out of the private room. After seeing him leave, he turned around and went back inside. Su Qing was secretly shocked. She hadn't expected Shi Fengju and Minister Lu to know each other. This didn't seem good for her. She had already gotten up from the ground. Her clothes were a little wrinkled and messy, and her hair was a little loose. When she saw Minister Lu, she endured the humiliation and called out in a low voice, "Minister Lu." Minister Lu had been in the brothel for more than 20 years and had seen many prostitutes. When he saw that Shi Fengju didn't care about Su Qing's appearance, he didn't have any scruples. It was rare for him to find a woman who was good in every aspect. If he didn't enjoy her, he would be letting himself down. Senior Official Lu chuckled and waved his hand to dismiss the servants. He then carried Su Qing and placed her on his lap. He caressed her frightened face and said softly, "Were you frightened just now, huh?" When Su Qing saw that he was still on her side, she was overjoyed. Panic flashed across her eyes. She hurriedly shook her head with a smile and said in a good-tempered manner, "I'm fine. It's just that Shi Fengju is a narrow-minded person. I was rude today. If he holds a grudge and does something to harm you, wouldn't I have harmed you?" Minister Lu laughed heartily and caressed her face as he said with a smile, "Darling, you're really sensible and tactful. I didn't dote on you in vain. Don't worry. The Shi family has a lot of business dealings with the Lu family. Shi Fengju isn't that stupid. It's because of this that I feel uneasy." Su Qing sighed and said, "If he holds a grudge and does something to harm you, wouldn't that be?" Sigh. "Just pretend that I didn't say anything. It's not the first time you've been in the business world. How can you not know?" Minister Lu chuckled and said, "That's right. You shouldn't be worried about this. Don't let your imagination run wild." In any case, it won't be short of your share of benefits. Qing, come, let's have another drink. Don't let these trivial matters spoil our mood. Su Qing, naturally wanted to use Minister Lu to take revenge on the Shi family. However, when she saw that Minister Lu was disinterested and unwilling to talk about this matter again, she smiled sweetly and stopped the topic. She started to talk about romance with him. She secretly thought that there would be plenty of time in the future. However, she didn't know that she was just a pet in Minister Lu's eyes. Minister Lu had long seen that she was nothing in Shi Fengju's eyes. How could Shi Fengju incur enmity with Minister Lu because of her? Minister Lu also didn't believe that Shi Fengju would be so irrational. If Shi Fengju really wanted to take revenge, he would have returned her to him with both hands. There were so many women in the world. Was there a need to worry about not having enough? Shi Fengming ran all the way out of the restaurant and stopped after running for a long time. He punched a willow tree on the shore of West Lake hatefully. Although the pain on his face wasn't as scorching as before, it still pierced his heart. He suddenly felt as if he had been dreaming for the entire day, and everything seemed to be in a blur. When his eldest brother let him out of the room in the morning, he was in a trance when he saw the familiar air outside that he hadn't seen for a long time. He was also in a trance after everything that had happened just now. Let's go back. A hand patted his shoulder. Shi Fengming dodged in disgust. Without turning his head, he said coldly, "Go away. I don't want to see you." This day would have come sooner or later, Shi Fengju said indifferently. "I just brought it forward." As he spoke, he explained the simple process of how he had designed it. Shi Fengming was in a fit of anger. Hearing that he dared to talk about such cruel, glorious deeds in front of him, he was so angry that sparks flew everywhere. He shouted angrily, "Enough! I knew it was you. I knew it must be you. If you hadn't forced Qing, she wouldn't have become like this. It's all your fault, Shi Fengju. How dare you say it in front of me?" Shi Fengju was also angry. He sneered, "If she didn't mean it, how could she have become like this? Did I forcefully tie her up and send her to Minister Lu? She kept saying that she wanted you to take her home. What do you think she wanted? If she really only cared about you, why didn't she want to go far away with you? Think carefully. Once you've spent all the money on you, how can she stay by your side? Stupid." Shi Fengming's lips moved. He wanted to refute, but he found that he couldn't refute at all. His mind was blank. He stared at the lake in front of him in a daze. He only felt that the jumping silver light was dazzling his eyes. Shi Fengju didn't have the mood to continue talking to him. He flicked his sleeves and said coldly to Chong Huan, "Follow second young master well. If he doesn't want to go back, tie him up and bring him back." After saying that, he turned and left. Shi Fengming was stunned. He snorted and turned his head away without saying anything. It wasn't until evening that Shi Fengming returned to the villa accompanied by Chong Huan. Shi Fengju and Sang Wan had just finished dinner. When they heard the housekeeper's report, Shi Fengju subconsciously raised his foot to welcome them. However, he stopped abruptly and said coldly, "If he's back, then let him go. Take him down and settle him down. What's so important that he has to specially report it?" The housekeeper was stunned and looked awkwardly at Sang Wan. Sang Wan also found it funny and shook her head. She smiled and said, "Second young master is back. It seems that he has thought things through. This is a good thing. In 2 days, we'll set off for home together. We can also give second uncle and second aunt an explanation. It's better to invite him in and say a few words." Shi Fengju didn't say anything. Sang Wan said to the housekeeper, "What are you waiting for? Quickly bring second young master in." Yes. The housekeeper hurriedly agreed and turned to leave. A moment later, Shi Fengming followed in. His expression was calm and he even knew to go forward and greet them. "Eldest brother, eldest sister-in-law, you're willing to come back? I thought that you would only be willing to come back if Chong Huan tied you up with a rope." Shi Fengju said unhappily. Sang Wan pushed him and said with a smile, second young master, please take a seat. You haven't eaten dinner yet, right? I'll have the kitchen prepare the food. There's no need, eldest sister-in-law. Shi Fengming was a little dispirited. He sat down absent-mindedly and said, I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat anything. Seeing him like this, Sangwon knew that he must be sad, so she didn't say anything else. She heard Shi Fengming say, I wonder if eldest brother still has any unfinished business here? If not, let's set off for Qingzhou as soon as possible. I haven't seen father and mother for a long time. I also miss them. You still know how to miss them. Shi Fengju snorted. When he saw Sangwon's gentle gaze looking at him, he forcibly stopped himself from ridiculing him. He nodded and said, There's nothing else on my side. Let's set off in 2 days. Okay. Shi Fengming nodded and said, There's something I want to ask eldest brother for help with. Eldest brother, please help me. Chapter 273. Shi Fengju frowned slightly. Shi Fengming smiled and said, Big brother, don't think too much. It's not what you think. Shi Fengju saw that Shi Fengming was listless like a frosted eggplant. He was still immersed in the shock and hadn't recovered yet. However, it seemed that he had accepted the truth. His expression softened. Tell me what it is. I will help you if I can. Shi Fengming smiled gently and his expression suddenly turned cold. I want to divorce Zhou Jingyi. When the time comes, please don't stand on my parents' side. What? Not only Shi Fengju, but even Sangwon was shocked. The husband and wife looked at each other and wondered if Shi Fengming's brain was damaged. Why was he suddenly involved with Zhou Jingyi again? Why? Shi Fengju asked. There's no reason. Shi Fengming vented his anger and said, I just don't like her and I want to divorce her. It doesn't matter who my parents marry, but it can't be her. Lao. What are you thinking in that head of yours? Shi Fengju was still confused, but Sangwon vaguely understood and could not help but sigh to herself. Because of Su Qing-er's matter, Shi Fengming couldn't get rid of his anger, so he vented his anger on Jin Yi. So what if Jingyi was innocent? He just couldn't stand it. Couldn't stand it. Big brother, as long as you and eldest aunt don't care about this matter, I will have a way to persuade my parents. Why? Shi Fengming also wanted to ask others why. He didn't know, but he knew that he would feel more comfortable if he did so. As long as eldest aunt and big brother didn't interfere, his parents would be overjoyed when they saw that he was willing to go back. Especially his mother. There was no reason not to agree to such a small request. Nonsense. Shi Fengju was so angry that he almost couldn't speak. He reprimanded him, You're not a 3-year-old child anymore. How can you act so disorderly? It's obvious that our Shi family let the Zhou family down first. To put it bluntly, you let the Zhou family down. She didn't say anything, but you want to divorce her? Let me ask you, what reason do you have to divorce your wife? Do you think this is child's play? You think you can just break it off like that? Do you think the Zhou clan is a pushover that you can bully as you please? Why do you have so many tricks up your sleeve? There is no end to this. Shi Fengming snorted and said, Didn't you say that Madame Zhou brought people to our house to make a fuss about a divorce? I'm just fulfilling their wishes. What's wrong with everyone being happy? Shi Fengju said coldly, Isn't it because of you that she's making a fuss about a divorce? But since you want to go back, this matter will naturally come to an end. If you divorce your sister-in-law for no reason, what will she do in the future? The Zhou family would never agree. You'd better behave yourself. However, Shi Fengming was determined and stubbornly said, What if the Zhou family is willing? Impossible. Shi Fengju said without thinking. The Zhou family was also a big family. If a young lady was divorced for no reason, it would inevitably affect the marriage of the unmarried women in the family. Unless it was absolutely necessary, it would not go to this step. Even when Madame Zhou came to make a fuss, she was so angry that she wanted to vent her anger. Shi Fengming sneered. That's hard to say. Nothing is absolute in this world. Big brother, you used to like to say these words. Shi Fengju stared at him for a moment and said, Say it, what do you want to do now? You are indeed big brother. You know me so well. I really can't hide anything from big brother. Shi Fengming laughed and said, It's simple. When I get home, I'll say that I have tuberculosis and will die soon. I don't believe that the Zhou family won't agree to a divorce when they find out. Humph, I'm afraid they'll be even more anxious than us. You. Shi Fengju was both amused and infuriated. What is in your head? You can even think of such a rotten idea. You're simply fooling around. Shi Fengming did not feel that he was fooling around at all. He said with conviction, Anyway, I've already made up my mind. After saying that, he sneered and said lazily, Sister-in-law, didn't you say that Zhou Jingyi was very good to me and missed me? Heh, I want to see if it's true or not. When she heard that I was going to die, she might run away faster than anyone else. There's no good woman in this world. Shi Fengming's heart suddenly ached and he started to hate her. Su Qing was such a heartless and hypocritical woman. He would hate her for the rest of his life. What nonsense are you talking about? Shi Fengju glared at him unhappily, but his heart softened. Shi Fengming was a simple-minded person. How could he be Su Qing-er's opponent? It wasn't strange that he was infatuated with Su Qing-er and was hell-bent on her. She was putting on a show, but he was putting on a show for real. When the show ended, how could it not be a big blow to him? He had resentment and hatred in his heart, and he had to find a place to vent it. When Shi Fengming saw that Big Brother's expression wasn't too good, he seemed to have suddenly remembered something. He said hurriedly, Sister-in-law, don't be calculative with me. I didn't mean to talk about you. Please forgive me for speaking without thinking. Sangwon smiled. Second young master, you don't have to be like this. You didn't mean what you said. Why would I put the blame on myself for no reason? However, I think you've underestimated Jingyi. I've interacted with her a lot, so I know a little about her temperament. I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. Shi Fengming was stunned and he sneered. Sister-in-law, don't try to persuade me. In any case, I have to do this. I don't treat her well, and we've only interacted for a few days. People who spend day and night with each other can change at any time, let alone me and her. Maybe she wanted to leave long ago, but she didn't say it out loud. Otherwise, why would her mother and sister-in-law come to our house to make a fuss? I think she instigated it behind the scenes. I've given the Zhou family a way out this time. They might even be grateful to me. Although it was almost impossible to cure tuberculosis, there was a possibility that it could be cured. After the divorce, his illness would slowly recover. This was God's will. At that time, everything would be settled, and everyone would be clean. Shi Fengju sighed softly. If you're really determined to do this, I won't stop you. So be it. Su Qing-er had completely left his life, but to a certain extent, Zhou Jingyi had a special connection with Su Qing-er. When he saw Zhou Jingyi, he would most likely think of Su Qing-er, which was also a kind of torture for him. Well, it was good to get a divorce. It could be considered a complete break with the past. As for the Zhou family, as he had said, they would probably be willing to give them a way out. Everyone was happy. Thank you, big brother. Shi Fengming smiled and thanked him with cupped hands. But what if Jingyi refuses to leave? Sangwon suddenly said faintly. I don't believe it. Shi Fengming smiled and shook his head. There wouldn't be such a foolish woman in the world. Unless you tell her that I'm acting, sister-in-law, Shi Fengming added. What nonsense are you talking about? Shi Fengju and Sangwon said at the same time. Sangwon didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This person's character was really straightforward. How could he say anything? I promise that I won't tell her. Don't worry about that. If I tell her, the Zhou family will inevitably know. If the Zhou family makes a fuss because of this, where will our Shi family's face go? No matter how foolish I am, I won't do such a thing. Sangwon said with a smile. Shi Fengju glared at Shi Fengming unhappily. Shi Fengming was relieved and said with a smile, "Sister-in-law, what you said is very reasonable. I didn't think so much." "Then tell me, what if Jingyi refuses to leave? What will you do then?" Sang Wan continued to ask. "Refuse to leave?" Shi Fengming raised his eyebrows and said with a smile, "Could it be that she likes to be a widow? If she really liked to be a widow, she couldn't really die, right?" This was really a difficult problem. Shi Fengming had a headache for a moment. He wanted to stubbornly insist that she wouldn't. But what if there was really such a possibility? Sister-in-law kept asking and it seemed that she wouldn't give up. He couldn't not say anything. If she insists on not leaving, then she really has you in her heart. In the future, you will treat her well. How about it? Sang Wan said lightly. Shi Fengju glanced at Sang Wan and a look of deep thought flashed across his eyes. Seeing that Shi Fengming was silent, Shi Fengju also said, "Your sister-in-law is right. If sister-in-law really does that, second brother, treat her well in the future. She's willing to give up her life for you. Is it so difficult for you to treat her well? You're the one who's taking advantage of her." Taking advantage? Was there anyone who said that? Moreover, how was this taking advantage? Whoever wanted to take advantage of this so-called advantage could take it. In any case, he didn't care. Shi Fengming felt a little wronged. His eldest brother refused to accept it and continued to remain silent. Sang Wan sneered and said, "Aren't you very confident that she will leave? Since that's the case, what are you afraid of if you agree? It's just a temporary sentence." Shi Fengming's eyes lit up. That's right. In any case, this kind of situation was impossible. If he agreed, it would only take a sentence. When she left, wouldn't everything be resolved? What was he conflicted about? She's sister-in-law after all. Shi Fengming smiled in an incomparably relaxed manner. A sentence woke me up from my dream. Good. If she can really do that, I'll give in to her. In any case, I won't let her suffer in the future. These words were personally said by Second Young Master. Second Young Master, don't go back on your words. Sang Wan said with a smile. Shi Fengming snorted and said, "Of course, I'll keep my words. When the time comes, I'll let her leave the Shi family happily." Shi Fengming was sure that his prediction wouldn't be wrong. Even if that woman really had the intention of following the 3 obedience and 4 virtues, how could her parents allow her to do as she pleased? They would definitely force her to leave. Sang Wan smiled and said, "I believe that Second Young Master will do as he says." Soon, they set off for Qingzhou. As they wanted to bring Shi Fengming home as soon as possible, the return journey was different from when they came. They rushed all the way and arrived at Qingzhou in just a few days. Everyone in the household had already received a report from the servants. When they knew that Shi Fengming was coming back, Second Lord Shi and Second Old Mistress Shi were naturally overjoyed. Wang and Third Old Master Shi also heaved a sigh of relief and were happy for them. The whole household was waiting for their carriage to enter the city. Chapter 274. When they finally returned to the household, Shi Fengming knelt in front of his parents with a face full of shame. Second Old Mistress Shi had already pulled him into her arms and started crying. She scolded him as she cried, feeling heartache, joy, and anger. Shi Fengming's heart was also sour. Seeing his mother's haggard face and her hair that was obviously much whiter than 2 years ago, he felt even more stifled. The mother and son hugged each other and cried bitterly. It took a while for everyone to calm them down. Only then did Second Old Mistress Shi and her husband have the time to thank Shi Fengju and happily brought their son back. Second Old Mistress Shi ordered the servants to boil water with grapefruit leaves for her son to wash away the bad luck. She also ordered the servants to prepare incense and candles for him to go to the ancestral hall to worship the ancestors after he was clean. Shi Fengju and Sang Wan also returned to Ning Garden to change and freshen up. Wang glanced at them but did not say anything. Nanny Li, Jida, and the others welcomed their master back. They all came up to greet her, and it was very lively. They were back to this place again. Looking at the familiar and unchanged furnishings in the house, Sang-won felt a little absent-minded. "Won-young, I'm here." Shi Fengju held her hand and smiled. "If mother brings up the past again, we'll go out for a walk again." Sang-won heard him and laughed. Although she did not take his words seriously, she felt a lot more relaxed. There should be a period of good days ahead, right? With Shi Fengming's side in chaos, who in the household would have the time to care about other things? There wasn't a second branch where her nephew's life and death was unknown, and the eldest aunt was in a hurry to find a second wife for her son. Shi Fengming's actions were swift. He suddenly fainted on the second day and was bedridden in less than 2 days. He coughed incessantly, his face was sallow, his spirit was low, and his body was hot and cold. According to the doctor's diagnosis, it was tuberculosis. Wang and the rest were all shocked, and second old mistress of the Shi family was crying her heart out. Sang-won and the rest hurriedly supported her and tried to persuade her. Sang-won secretly praised in her heart. Second old mistress Shi must really dislike Zhou Jingyi. Compared to her son, I'm afraid she's even more eager for Zhou Jingyi to leave. The cooperation between mother and son is truly flawless. Afraid that Shi Fengming's tuberculosis would spread to everyone, the entire residence was disinfected. Shi Fengming also moved to a small courtyard called Biluo Pavilion in the northwest corner of the back garden to live. An old maid and a servant girl were sent to serve him. The old maid and servant girl used cotton cloth to cover their mouths and noses when they went in and out. The small courtyard was disinfected once a day. The news quickly spread to the Zhou family. Everyone in the Zhou family was shocked. Zhou Jinyi's face turned pale and she almost fell. This time, it was still Mrs. Lin who went to the Zhou family. Mrs. Lin wiped her tears and said, "Poor second young master. It was not easy for him to come back. The family did not even have time to celebrate for 2 days, but he had to encounter such a thing. Second young mistress, you have to go back with the old slave this time. If you are late, I'm afraid that you won't even be able to see him for the last time." Zhou Jinyi wiped her tears and nodded. "Mrs. Lin, please wait for a moment. Let me pack up and go back with you. Husband, he will be fine." Old Mistress Zhou and Old Master Zhou looked at each other and sighed in their hearts. Old Mistress Zhou sighed with anger and hatred. That scoundrel, he was fine when he was having fun outside. The moment he came back, he created such a mess. What does he mean by this? Isn't he trying to harm my daughter? What sin have I committed? Why is my daughter's life so bitter? Mrs. Lin, you should go back first. I will personally bring Jingyi there tomorrow. I really didn't expect this. How did my son-in-law get such a disease? As his mother-in-law, I have to go and take a look before I can be at ease. My poor daughter, why is her life so bitter? Old Mistress Zhou sighed. Mother. How could Zhou Jinyi wait any longer? Her eyes were red as she sobbed. You can go tomorrow. I want to go back with Mrs. Lin now. What nonsense are you saying? Old Mistress Zhou frowned. We will leave tomorrow morning. What's wrong with waiting one more day? What will happen if you don't accompany me? Old Mistress Zhou still had some resentment in her heart. The Shi family only sent a mother to pick her up. Even the housekeeper did not come. How could she be at ease? No. I'll leave now. Zhou Jinyi was extremely stubborn this time. She stood up and said, Mrs. Lin, please wait for a moment. I'll pack up and come over. Mrs. Lin was naturally on her mistress' side. Seeing old Mistress Zhou's ambiguous attitude and her constant delay, it was obvious that she had other plans in mind. Thus, she was unhappy. Hearing Zhou Jinyi's words, she felt relieved. Without even looking at old Mistress Zhou, she nodded and said, Yes, second young mistress. Old slave will wait for second young mistress. Zhou Jinyi nodded and turned to pack her clothes. You? Old Mistress Zhou was so angry that her eyes widened. That's enough, that's enough. Old Master Zhou tugged at his wife's sleeves and said, It's normal for a daughter to be worried about her son-in-law when he's so sick. Why leave her alone to worry for the night? Let her go. I'll go with you tomorrow to take a look. Old Mistress Zhou was even more unhappy when she heard her husband's words. She could not care less in her anger and sneered, "My daughter is really a fool. She's worried about him," but when he was having fun outside, did he even think about her for a moment? Mrs. Lin's face turned ugly. She lowered her eyes and pretended that she did not hear anything. Old Master Zhou quickly stopped her and asked someone to bring Mrs. Lin down to drink tea. Mrs. Lin secretly heaved a sigh of relief and quickly thanked him. "How can you say such things at a time like this?" Lord Zhou was displeased. Old Mistress Zhou also questioned angrily, "Did I say something wrong? If it wasn't at this time, I wouldn't have said that. This is really retribution." "Umph." Old Master Zhou said angrily, "Enough, stop talking. Retribution? Then what about our daughter? You should be clear about who this retribution belongs to." Old Mistress Zhou was stunned and her eyes turned red. "My daughter is innocent. She can't be implicated for no reason. What else is there to say now that things have come to this? It's better to get a divorce as soon as possible." "You're crazy." Old Master Zhou frowned. "A divorce can't happen at this time. Our son-in-law's life is unknown, and our daughter wants a divorce. If this spreads out, what about our reputation? What's the use of having a reputation?" Old Mistress Zhou said with tears in her eyes, "Isn't our daughter pitiful enough? It's useless. If you don't want her to live in the future, you can make a fuss and leave now." Old Master Zhou flicked his sleeves. "Why not?" Old Mistress Zhou said, "It's the Shi family who has let our daughter down. Now that their son is not going to live and our daughter doesn't have any children, are we going to guard her for the rest of her life? If our son-in-law is loyal, it's fine. But in reality, he's such a heartless person. How can I accept this? Do you think I'm willing? In any case, this matter can't be brought up now. If you don't want to harm our daughter, you better not add to the mess." Old Master Zhou said angrily, "How am I adding to the mess?" "Father, mother." "Calm down," young Master Zhou sighed. "Let's see how things go tomorrow. Who knows, maybe brother-in-law's luck is great and he can survive this ordeal." Before young Master Zhou could finish, old Mistress Zhou spat and said, "Luck is great? He's such a heartless and unscrupulous person. It's so unfair." "Are you done yet?" Old Master Zhou said helplessly. "I won't let this matter go so easily. My daughter can't be wronged for the rest of her life. Mother, from what I see, sister's meaning seems to be, what does she know? Children are impulsive. Her intentions can't be taken seriously." Old Mistress Zhou was even angrier. Thinking of her daughter's useless appearance, she felt her chest tighten. While they were arguing, Zhou Jingyi came in with Su Qing and Su Bai. Her eyes were red as she said goodbye to her father, mother, brother, and sister-in-law. Madame Zhou saw that in the blink of an eye she had changed into a set of bean-green plain clothes, and that the golden hairpin in her hairbuyao had also been replaced with a simple jade hairpin. She could not help but feel angry. She was about to scold her, but when she saw her sad expression and teary eyes, she felt her heart ache. She let out a long sigh and turned her face away. "Fine, a married daughter is like spilled water. Since you're thinking about it, then go. In your heart, father and mother are not as important as that heartless man." "Mother." How could Zhou Jingyi endure such harsh words? She sobbed and ran forward to kneel in old Mistress Zhou's arms. Tears flowed down and her thin shoulders trembled. "Mother, don't say that. Your daughter's heart hurts. Look at yourself. Jingyi is already sad enough. Don't rub salt on her wound. She didn't say anything, so why bother?" Old Master Zhou sighed. "So it's me who worried for nothing." Old Mistress Zhou became angry again and glared at her husband. Seeing her daughter's pitiful face full of tears, she couldn't help but feel her heart ache. She sighed and didn't say anything else. Old Mistress Zhou raised her handkerchief and gently wiped away the tears on Zhou Jingyi's face. She stroked her hair and sighed softly. Since you insist on going, mother won't stop you. But his illness is contagious. You have to be careful. Don't get too close and don't stay too long by his side. You have to know how to protect yourself, understand? My daughter, your mother's flesh and blood. Even if you don't think for yourself, you have to think for mother. If something happens to you, how can mother live? Old Mistress Zhou's tears rolled down as she spoke. Old Master Zhou glanced at the door and thought that it was fortunate that the Shi family wasn't here. Otherwise, his daughter's days back home would definitely be difficult. I know. Mother, don't worry. Zhou Jingyi's heart ached. Mother is relieved to hear that. Old Mistress Zhou forced a smile. She reminded Su Qing and Su Bai again before letting Zhou Jingyi go. Zhou Jingyi and Nanny Lin left the Zhou residence and the carriage sped towards Qingzhou City. On the way, Zhou Jingyi couldn't help but ask Nanny Lin about Shi Fengming's situation. When she finished listening, she felt even more anxious and sad. She couldn't help but think to herself, is my life really so bitter? I married someone I liked at first sight. I was originally rejoicing that the heavens took pity on me. Who knew that his heart already belonged to someone else? He didn't hesitate to abandon me and leave home. He left for 2 years. When he came back, we could have started a new life together and live a good life together. Who knew that it would be a separation of life and death? Zhou Jingyi's expression was sad and she couldn't help but cry again. Chapter 275. Nanny Lin could not bear to see her like this and sighed. Second young mistress, don't be too sad. Our second young master is blessed. He will definitely get through this. Zhou Jingyi forced a smile and nodded. Nanny Lin is right, he will be fine. Returning to her in-laws' house, Zhou Jingyi hurriedly went to greet her in-laws. When second old Mistress Shi saw her plain clothes and slightly swollen eyes, she was slightly satisfied. However, since her son had already made up his mind to not want this woman, she could not be bothered to give her any face. Seeing her bow, second old Mistress Shi lazily raised her hand. It's good that you're back, get up. Zhou Jingyi got up and asked, Father, Mother, I heard from Nanny Lin that my husband is staying at Bai Luo Pavilion. I want to see him now. I will move into Su Xian Pavilion tomorrow. It will be more convenient for me to take care of him. No need. How could second old Mistress Shi allow her to add to her son's troubles? She immediately rejected her. There are proper servants there to take care of him. It's better if you don't go. You've already done your best to visit him twice. Mother. Zhou Jingyi insisted, let me go. I want to take care of my husband personally. Second old Mistress Shi frowned and looked at her from head to toe, thinking, why are you putting on an act here? My son and you don't have any feelings for each other. Why do you have to put on an act like this? How can that be? Second old Mistress Shi continued to reject. If anything happens to you, our Shi family will be even more sorry to you. This matter is settled. Since you're back, just stay in Xiu Garden. Second old Mistress Shi could only hope that the Zhou couple would hurry over so that she could bring up the matter of the divorce. It was naturally inconvenient for the Zhou family to bring up this matter, but the Shi family was magnanimous. If they were to bring it up, not only would they not attract criticism, they would even be praised. Moreover, old Mistress Zhou might even clap her hands in joy. Mother, I beg of you, let me go. Or else, I won't feel at ease. I'll be careful, nothing will happen. Mother. Zhou Jingyi pleaded bitterly. How could second old Mistress Shi let her go? She immediately became impatient, but second Lord Shi could not stand it any more and sighed, let my daughter-in-law go. It's rare for her to show her sincerity. Maybe my son will be happy to see her by his side and get better. The second Lord Shi didn't know about this, and Ri Zhong was extremely worried. Seeing his daughter-in-law being so considerate, he was very touched. Thank you, father. Zhou Jingyi was overjoyed. No. I say, what's wrong with you? The second Lord Shi lost his temper and said with a dark face, in the past, you always complained that your daughter-in-law was not good and virtuous. Now that she's willing to take care of your son, you're stopping her. What are you trying to do? Second old Mistress Sher was already afraid of her husband. Hearing him say that, her heart skipped a beat and she could not help but feel guilty. In the past, if her daughter-in-law was willing to take care of her sick son, she would have been more than willing. Even if she didn't want to, she would have forced her to go. If he continued to obstruct them and aroused Master's suspicions, then things would be bad. Second old Mistress Sher said, "Do you think I don't want my daughter-in-law to take care of my son? This way, I can feel more at ease. But if our in-laws find out about this, they will definitely blame us. If anything happens to my daughter-in-law, how are we going to explain it to them? How about this, when our in-laws come, I won't have any objections if they agree." The second Lord Sher felt that her words made sense, so he said to Zhou Jin-yi, "Your mother-in-law is right, this is for the best. You just have to go and take a look, the rest can wait." Zhou Jin-yi heaved a sigh of relief and said, "Father, mother, don't worry. My father and mother asked me to come back to take care of my husband. They definitely won't have any objections. If you don't believe me, we can ask them when they come tomorrow. It's rare for our in-laws to be so considerate." Second old Master Sher sighed and nodded his head. "If that's the case, I won't stop you from doing what you want. Go on. Remember to be careful and take care of yourself first. Daughter-in-law, father will say something to you today. After Feng Ming gets through this, if he dares to let you down again, I will break his legs." "Father." Zhou Jin-yi's gaze was complicated. Second old Mistress Sher, on the other hand, glared at her husband unhappily and pulled a long face. Zhou Jin-yi bade farewell to the two of them and returned to Xiu Garden to pack up before bringing Su Qing to Bai Luo Pavilion. As they walked, the closer they got, the more uneasy she felt and her footsteps became messy. 2 years. She had not seen him for 2 years. She did not know how he looked like when she saw him again. Tuberculosis? Would he be tortured badly by his illness? Zhou Jin-yi's legs went soft and she stumbled and almost fell. Su Qing hurriedly supported her. "Second young mistress, why don't you rest for a while?" Zhou Jin-yi shook her head. "Let's go." Even though she was nervous and uneasy, the earlier she saw him, the better. Bai Luo Pavilion was right in front of her. Zhou Jin-yi took a deep breath and gently pushed the door open. A strange smell of medicine wafted over and Zhou Jin-yi's heart ached, almost tearing up. He was right in front of her, but was he still the same person she first met? "Second young mistress. Why are you here?" A maidservant lifted the curtain and walked out of the room. When she saw the master and servant, she was startled and hurriedly pulled down the veil covering her face and went forward to greet them. Zhou Jin-yi recognized this maidservant. It was Xiao Cui, who served her mother-in-law. "How is second young master? Is he all right?" Zhou Jin-yi nodded and asked. Xiao Cui said, "I just fed second young master some medicine and he's lying down now. He looks quite energetic. Second young mistress, do you want to go in? Or do you want to look outside the window?" "I'll go in and take a look." Xiao Cui placed the tray with the bowl of medicine on the stone table in the courtyard and said with a smile, "There's a clean veil in the side room and some medicine for washing your hands. This servant will bring you there." Zhou Jin-yi nodded her head and instructed Su Qing, "You wait outside. I'll go in alone." Su Qing and Su Bai were both maidservants brought along by her maternal family. When they saw that their young master did not like their young miss, they instinctively rejected Shi Fengming. When they heard that they did not need to go in, they were eager and hurriedly said, "Second young mistress, please come out after taking a look. Don't disturb second young master's rest. This servant will wait for you outside." Zhou Jin-yi nodded and followed Xiao Cui. After tidying up, she went in and saw Shi Fengming lying on the bed. His pale and sallow face looked very haggard. He coughed and frowned from time to time, looking very painful. Coupled with the faint smell of medicine in the room, Zhou Jin-yi's heart ached. She went forward and asked softly, "Husband, are you all right?" Xiao Cui glanced at him and quietly retreated. Shi Fengming did not expect that pretending to be ill with tuberculosis would be so difficult. Not only was he forced to move to a remote and simple courtyard, but he also had to lie in bed all day long and smell the unpleasant smell of medicine and drink medicine. Although Shi Fengju had people tamper with the medicine and it was harmless to the body, the taste of the medicine made Shi Fengming suffer unspeakably. It was better to die than to live. He was sure that his eldest brother must have taken the opportunity to punish him and deliberately gave him such a difficult medicine to swallow. Seeing Zhou Jinyi enter with tears in her eyes, Shi Fengming was secretly vigilant. He knew that it was time to sing. Wasn't it all because of her that he was where he was today? If she had agreed to divorce and return to the Zhou family, wouldn't he have suffered a lot less? Shi Fengming was unhappy and his expression became uglier. He frowned and said faintly, "It's you. What are you doing here? This is not a place for you to come. Get out." Husband. Zhou Jinyi's heart ached when she heard him talk to her like this. She could not help but cry. She choked and said, "I'm not going anywhere. I'll stay here with you. Don't worry, you'll definitely get better." Definitely. It was not that she did not resent him. The more she loved him, the deeper her resentment. However, he was still her husband. Thinking back to the moment when he lifted her red veil and looking at the person in front of her now, Zhou Jinyi only felt like her heart was being twisted by a knife. All her resentment disappeared. As long as he could get better, she was willing to do anything. Shi Fengming was stunned. He subconsciously tightened his grip on the thin blanket. He was slightly annoyed. Did she have to be so affectionate? Did she have to cry like this? He never had any feelings for her, nor did he give her a good face. He really didn't know how she could call him husband so smoothly, but to his ears, it was incomparably ear-piercing. "My illness is contagious. You'd better leave. Don't stay here." "What if I won't?" Zhou Jinyi shook her head and gently interrupted him. "I'll be careful. Moreover, I'm not afraid." Shi Fengming almost choked. After a moment, he said in a muffled voice, "But I don't want to implicate you and delay you. Zhou Jinyi, I think we should divorce. Go back to your Zhou family and find a good family to marry in the future. Don't worry, our Shi family will not treat you unfairly. Take all your dowry with you. Other than that, I'll ask my parents to compensate you with a sum of money. It's enough for you to marry a husband you like and live a good life." No. I don't want to. I won't leave." Zhou Jinyi heard him say this and felt sad, sour, touched, and happy. Was he thinking for her? He had already become like this, and he was still thinking for her? It could be seen that he still had her in his heart. It could be seen that he had turned over a new leaf. She had always been thinking about him, and now that he was regretting his decision, how could she be a heartless person and leave him when he needed her the most? "Don't worry." Zhou Jinyi could not help but hold his hand tightly and said in a trembling voice, "I won't leave you, I won't. If the heavens are really so heartless, I will protect you for the rest of my life. I will never be disloyal." A soft and delicate hand suddenly held his palm. The cool touch brought about a slight numbing itch. Shi Fengming suddenly froze and felt very uncomfortable. He struggled slightly, but Zhou Jinyi's emotions were agitated and she held him tightly. Moreover, he was impatient, and it was inconvenient for him to use force, so he could only let her hold him. Chapter 276. Why are you doing this? Shi Fengming was a little irritated. He frowned and said, "Anyway, I've made up my mind. You can go back. If you're not willing to divorce, I'll divorce you. Think about it carefully." Zhou Jinyi's face suddenly turned pale as she stared at him in a daze. Shi Fengming saw that she was frightened by him and felt slightly relieved. He said slowly, "It's settled then. Think about it carefully and you'll know that you're not at a disadvantage. Go back. Don't let your imagination run wild." Zhou Jinyi only thought that he was talking nonsense because he was sick. She said gently, "You can rest at ease and recuperate. Husband, although I'm not talented or virtuous, I know the principle of being faithful to one person until the end. Since we're husband and wife, we should share joys and sorrows. You should recuperate first. I won't leave the Shi family. Shi Fengming was angry and sneered, since that's the case, you can wait for the divorce letter. Zhou Jingyi shook her head calmly, if you really hate me so much, you can divorce me after you've recovered. But even if you want to divorce me now, I can't. I'd rather die than leave the Shi family. Husband, I've been stubborn since I was young. My parents and brothers can't force me to change my decision. If you want to force me to leave first, you can divorce me. Shi Fengming was dumbfounded. Have a good rest first. I'll come and accompany you later. Zhou Jingyi gently let go of his hand, tucked him in, and got up to leave. Shi Fengming watched her leave and threw himself on the bed with hatred. What's wrong with this woman? What kind of people did I meet? Why are they so stubborn? Zhou Jingyi didn't care about him. She called Xiao Chui and the old woman over and asked about Shi Fengming's situation in detail. She asked about his decoction of medicine and diet and instructed that she would do it personally in the future. After returning to Xiao Garden, Zhou Jingyi tidied up before going to visit Wang, third old Mistress Shi, and Sang Wan. She stayed at Sang Wan's place for a while and told Sang Wan that she wanted to move to Su Xian Pavilion. Speaking of Shi Fengming, she couldn't help but cry again. She asked them in detail how they met Shi Fengming in Hangzhou and asked about Su Qing after some hesitation. Sang Wan couldn't help but secretly feel guilty when she saw her so sad. She felt that Shi Fengming was absurd and hateful. As one of the few people who knew the truth, she felt even more guilty and guilty. Comforting Zhou Jingyi was difficult for her and she did not know what to say. Fortunately, Zhou Jingyi's mind was already in a mess. How could she have the mood to think about other things? He didn't notice anything strange and was filled with gratitude towards her and Shi Fengju. Sang Wan froze when she heard Zhou Jingyi ask about Su Qing. She asked with a fake smile, "Why are you asking about her? Don't tell me you still want to bring her back?" Zhou Jingyi sneered and gritted her teeth. "I can't wait to take that shameless B*TCH's life. If she hadn't bewitched him with false feelings, my husband wouldn't have ended up like this today. I just didn't expect her to be so cold-blooded and heartless. My husband is so sick now, but she abandoned him and ran away. I don't know who she hooked up with again." Sang Wan was silent for a moment and sighed softly. That's her nature. How could she be willing to give up her life for nothing? It's a good thing that she left. People like her have their own end. We don't have to care about her. You have to take care of yourself now. Don't be too sad. Since things have come to this, let's do our best and leave the rest to fate. Don't suffer. Sister-in-law, Zhou Jingyi couldn't help but cry again. Jingyi is grateful for your kindness. I just don't accept why my life is so bitter. He finally came back with great difficulty, but he ended up like this. He even said that he wanted to divorce me. Zhou Jingyi suddenly covered her face and cried loudly. Sister-in-law. Sang Wan was shocked and hurriedly dismissed everyone. She went forward and patted her gently on the back. He said that in a fit of anger when he was sick. It can't be taken seriously. You can just ignore it. Don't cry, don't cry. The servants will laugh at you if they see you. Sister-in-law. Zhou Jingyi cried even more sadly. She hugged Sang Wan and cried painfully on her body. She cried and complained at the same time. Sang Wan didn't hear what she said clearly, but she could feel the pain in her heart. How could Zhou Jingyi not feel wronged? But she couldn't tell her parents about it. If her parents heard about it, wouldn't they be so angry that they would immediately bring her back home? But she didn't want to go back, so she could only endure it herself. Only when Sang Wan was here, she was led by her words and couldn't control it anymore. After a while, Sang Wan finally calmed her down. She held her hand and forced a smile. Look at you. You're already an adult and you're crying like this. Who doesn't know that I've wronged you? Zhou Jingyi sneered and suddenly felt embarrassed. She wiped her tears and said, I'm sorry, sister-in-law. I lost my composure. Sang Wan shook her head and sighed with a smile. I understand how you feel. Don't be sad, second young master. Everything will be fine. And Zhou Jingyi nodded her head and looked up fervently. Sister-in-law, my husband will always listen to Big Brother's words. If he insists on divorcing me, can you let Big Brother say a few words for me? Sister-in-law. Sang Wan was a little embarrassed, but still nodded. Don't worry, as long as you insist, second uncle and second aunt will listen to you. Zhou Jingyi returned to her senses and laughed. Yes, I was muddle-headed. I even forgot about this. Her husband was so ill that his life was uncertain. Her parents-in-law would naturally hope that she could stay by his side. How could they let him fool around? She really was muddle-headed. Thinking of this, Zhou Jingyi felt much better. She sat for a while more before returning to Xiu Garden. Seeing that it was almost evening, she went to Bai Luo Pavilion. Zhou Jingyi did it herself and brewed the medicine personally. Not long after, Xiao Cui brought dinner over. She said that second young master had to eat first before taking the medicine, so that it wouldn't spoil his appetite. Zhou Jingyi opened the food box and saw a bowl of black chicken and bamboo fungus soup, a bowl of stewed ham, a plate of fish roe tofu, a plate of stir-fried shrimps and cowpeas, and a bowl of white rice. Watch the fire. I'll bring it in. Zhou Jingyi closed the lid and took the food box. Seeing that it was him again, Shi Fengming turned his head away unhappily. Husband, it's time to eat. Let me help you sit up. Zhou Jingyi gently placed the food box on the table and said softly, I'm not hungry. Take it out. Shi Fengming said awkwardly. Zhou Jingyi didn't get angry. She still reached out to help him up. You should at least sit up and eat. It's time to take the medicine later. I'll bring the food for you to see. If it's not to your liking, I'll ask the kitchen to make something else. I said I'm not hungry. Why are you so annoying? Shi Fengming was annoyed. Zhou Jingyi stiffened. She held back her grievance and said, If you don't eat, how can your body withstand the medicine later? Husband, do you really hate me that much? Yes. Shi Fengming nodded and said rudely, I hate you. I feel uncomfortable when I see you. Hurry up and get away from me. Go. You. No matter how well-mannered Zhou Jingyi was, she couldn't stand his unbridled humiliation. Her face turned red and white. She stomped her feet, turned around, and ran out. At the door, she almost bumped into Shi Fengju. Big brother. Zhou Jingyi was shocked and hurriedly retreated. She lowered her head, not daring to let Shi Fengju see the tears in her eyes. Did second brother make you angry again? Shi Fengju took a few steps back and gestured for her to come forward. Zhou Jingyi thought that he had heard what she said just now. She couldn't care less about her embarrassment and nodded lightly. Then, she shook her head. My husband's condition isn't good. Venting his anger might be good for his condition. I shouldn't have been so calculative with him. Shi Fengju smiled and suddenly said with a straight face, Sister-in-law, I'll be fair to you. This marriage is our Shi family's fault to begin with. Now that second brother has become like this, you really don't have to accompany him for the rest of your life. After all, you're still young. You should think about your future. Why let your emotions affect your decisions? Listen to what I have to say first. If you're worried that you'll be criticized for being heartless if you leave the Shi family now, you can rest assured. As long as you nod your head, our family will take care of the rest. Naturally, it's our family who can't bear to delay you and took the initiative to force you to leave. Your dowry and a portion of second brother's assets will be taken away by you. With the Zhou family's wealth, you might be able to find a good husband. Why waste your time? Second brother's temper is very stubborn. Since he doesn't like you, I'm afraid it'll be hard for him to change. Is it worth it for you to do this? Big brother. Zhou Jingyi raised her head. Her clear and bright eyes looked straight at Shi Fengju. She bowed to him and said seriously, Thank you, Big Brother, for thinking about me. I know that Big Brother's words are for my own good. Since Big Brother has said it, then I might as well say it out loud. I won't leave my husband. Whether he recovers or not, I won't leave him. I, Zhou Jin-yi, will only recognize him as my husband. If he recovers, I'll naturally be happy. If not, I'll stay by his side for the rest of my life. Please, big brother, grant me my wish. Shi Fengju was silent for a moment and said, Do you really think so? Or are you too embarrassed to say it in front of me? If you're too embarrassed to say it, then you don't have to say anything. When old Master Zhou and old Mistress Zhou arrive, you can talk to them. I'm sure they'll know what to do for your own good. Please don't. Zhou Jinyi's face turned pale. She hurriedly said, Big brother, I beg you, please don't say this to my parents. They'll definitely force me to go back. I won't leave. Big brother, every word I said just now was from the bottom of my heart. I wouldn't dare to lie to the heavens. She felt wronged and resentful. She couldn't help but cry, Why do all of you want to chase me away? Am I really that detestable? Since you've already married me, why can't you tolerate me? Shi Fengju didn't expect her to cry. He was a little embarrassed. He looked around and hurriedly said, Don't cry. Since you've already made up your mind, then just stay. No one said anything about chasing you away. Thank you, big brother, for granting me my wish. Crying in front of her brother-in-law wasn't a good thing. Zhou Jinyi wiped her tears and held back her sobs. She bowed to Shi Fengju. It's just that, Shi Fengju sighed softly. Second brother doesn't have you in his heart. Why do you have to do this? Who knows, maybe he'll find a new love after he recovers and forget about you. Sister-in-law, I shouldn't have said this to you, but this marriage was our Shi family's fault first. I can't bear to see you suffer again. If you take this opportunity to leave, wouldn't it be a happy ending? Chapter 277. Zhou Jingyi shook her head stubbornly. Big brother, I know what I want. Please don't try to persuade me anymore. People change, don't they? My husband won't dislike me for the rest of his life. Forgive me for being so bold, but aren't sister-in-law and big brother in harmony now? Shi Fengju was slightly startled. He smiled bitterly and said, This is different. You don't understand my second brother's character. Zhou Jingyi seemed to have smelled something and said eagerly, Big brother, please teach me. Big brother, you and my husband grew up together. You must know what my husband likes. Zhou Jingyi's face turned red and hot. It sounded ridiculous to ask her brother-in-law about her husband's preferences. She had never dreamed that she would do such a ridiculous thing, but she really had no other choice. Shi Fengju found it funny. He thought that she was really going all out. He didn't know how his second brother had been brainwashed by Su Qing. Otherwise, his head must have been kicked by a donkey. Why would he abandon his good wife? Just when Zhou Jingyi thought that Shi Fengju wouldn't answer her and was secretly disappointed, she heard Shi Fengju cough and say unhurriedly, My second brother is someone who can be forcefully persuaded, but not cowed. If you let him know how powerful you are, he will naturally submit to you. You should understand what I'm saying, right? Zhou Jingyi widened her eyes in surprise and couldn't come back to her senses for a moment. What did Big Brother mean? Was he teaching her to be a shrew? Zhou Jingyi couldn't help but be puzzled. She subconsciously thought of Shi Fengju and Sang Wan. She didn't know how her sister-in-law had subdued her big brother. All right, you go and look after the medicine. I'll go in and talk to him. Give me this lunchbox as well. Shi Fengju smiled. Zhou Jingyi hurriedly handed the lunchbox to Shi Fengju. My husband is still angry with me. Big brother, you should persuade him to eat some. Shi Fengju thought to himself, he must be starving and waiting for food. Do I still need to persuade him? I don't have the time to persuade him. If he doesn't want to eat, then let him starve to death. Shi Fengju nodded. Don't worry. Don't come in, lest he gets angry again. I know. Zhou Jinyi hurriedly replied with a smile. Shi Fengju carried the food box in. Shi Fengming heard the sound of footsteps and slowly turned around. When he saw that it was Shi Fengju, his eyes lit up. He quickly sat up and complained, "Big brother, you're finally here. I'm starving to death. Let me see what's good." Shi Fengju pulled the table closer to the bed and placed the food box on top of it. He said angrily, "Since you know you're hungry, why did you chase him out when he brought you food out of kindness? I think you deserve it." Shi Fengming didn't dare to count on Shi Fengju to serve the dishes for him. He rolled up his sleeves and came over personally. Smelling the fragrant food, Shi Fengming felt even more hungry. He picked up his bowl and ate the prawns with satisfaction before saying, "Her? No matter how hungry I am, I can't eat after seeing her. I've never seen such a shameless woman. I told her to leave, but she refused to leave. Big brother, do you think she has other motives?" Shi Fengju was simply speechless. He really didn't know what was in his head to think that way. "Oh, tell me, what do you think she's after?" Shi Fengju raised his eyebrows slightly and said faintly. Shi Fengming's spirits were lifted and he said, "What else can it be? Isn't she after the Shi family's wealth?" "Humph. There's no good woman in this world. They're all money grubbers. If she was still willing to follow me when I was poor, I would be convinced by her." Su Qing-er's charming face unconsciously flashed across his mind. Shi Fengming's chest suddenly felt stuffy. The fragrant delicacies in front of him didn't look so delicious anymore. His eyes darkened and he forced himself to eat a few times before putting his chopsticks down. Shi Fengju saw everything and said faintly, "Is that so? That's not what you said back then. You said that you would be convinced by her if she was still willing to stay by your side when you were terminally ill. Why did you change your mind? I say, Lao Er, you've changed too quickly, haven't you? Become a poor man? That's a little difficult. I can't help you. If you have the ability, you can test it out yourself. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Sister-in-law is willing to tolerate you now because she has you in her heart, not because she's weak and can be bullied by you. If you really break her heart, it'll be too late to salvage the situation. Moreover, the Zhou family doesn't lack money. Old Master Zhou and Madame Zhou dote on her like a pearl. She covets your money? What kind of joke is that?" Shi Fengming also felt that his words weren't valid. However, he was unconvinced and said, "Who knows what she's thinking? Women's thoughts have always been strange. Who knows what they're thinking? I don't believe that she wouldn't leave if I faked my death and father and mother insisted that she leave." "Nonsense," Shi Fengju said with a cold face. "Faked your death? Come back to life after faking your death? Isn't that telling everyone that you did it on purpose? Get rid of these unreliable thoughts. Either you obediently pretend that you're sick and fulfill your promise, or you can just divorce her. You're making such a big fuss over such a small matter. Even if you're not annoyed, I'm annoyed." Shi Fengming didn't dare to say anything after being lectured by him. He secretly glanced at him and couldn't help but say in his heart, "You're only talking about me. Aren't you also making a fuss over such a small matter? I heard from my mother that cousin Gu and eldest aunt are still competing with you. If you have the ability to withstand them, I'll be convinced. You're not eating anymore? If you're not eating, hurry up and pack up so I can take it away. Wan Nyang is still waiting for me to eat dinner." Shi Fengju said when he saw that Shi Fengming didn't say anything. Shi Fengming's head felt dizzy and he almost fainted. He glanced at Shi Fengju with hidden bitterness and could only put the food back into the food box. Shi Fengju got up and left with the food box. "You should rest. I'll come and see you tomorrow. Big brother, take care," Shi Fengming said unhappily. Thinking about the medicine he was going to take later, he suddenly felt his stomach churn. "Big brother." He hurriedly called out to Shi Fengju and glanced at the door. He smiled and said, "That medicine, can you change it? This is too disgusting." "You can't." Shi Fengju turned around and smiled at him. He softly said, "This medicine has to be made so that it can pass off as genuine. Otherwise, how can it be hidden from the eyes and ears of others? If this matter is accidentally leaked out, how will our family's reputation be?" If the whole household colluded with the ignorant second young master to make a fuss, the Shi family would really become the biggest laughingstock in Qingzhou. But that medicine, bear with it. Shi Fengju said faintly, if you can't even bear this little bit of hardship, how will you be able to enjoy it? Shi Fengming had nothing to say and could only silently lie back down on the bed. The medicine had already been brewed and Zhou Jingyi was waiting to send it in. Seeing Shi Fengju finally come out, she hurriedly went forward to greet him. Thank you, big brother. We're family, there's no need to be so polite. Once the medicine is brewed, bring it in. Shi Fengju said. Zhou Jingyi nodded in agreement. Seeing Shi Fengju leave, she filtered the medicine and brought it into the room. When Shi Fengming smelled the familiar and disgusting medicine, his heart immediately churned with nausea. He frowned and said, Why are you here again? Put it here and go out. Zhou Jingyi's face stiffened, but she still said gently, Husband, don't call me husband. Shi Fengming frowned and said, Can you not act so virtuous? I feel very uncomfortable just looking at you. I'm not a good husband. You don't have to be like this. Put it down and go out. Hearing this, Zhou Jingyi was secretly delighted. She said gently, I've never blamed you. You're a good husband. Who says you're not? Anyway, whether or not I have the final say. Shi Fengming was so angry that he laughed. He rolled his eyes and said, You're such a strange person. It wasn't easy for your parents to raise you. How can you be so self-deprecating? What good will it do you to pester me? Tell me, what do you want in order for you to leave? As long as you say it, I'll agree to it. Really? Zhou Jingyi sighed softly and said, Then husband, don't waste your efforts. I won't leave. The medicine will turn cold in a while. Hurry and drink it first. Zhou Jingyi held the medicine bowl and blew on it. She leaned over and brought it to his lips. Hurry and drink it. You'll only recover after drinking the medicine. Whatever you want to say, wait until you're better. Recover? Could he recover? Shi Fengming deeply understood what it meant to shoot oneself in the foot. He thought to himself, How can I recover if you don't leave? He tilted his head slightly and said, What if I can't recover? Wouldn't that be a waste? I think you should stop wasting your efforts. No, that won't happen. Zhou Jingyi immediately became anxious when she heard his words. She hurriedly comforted him. You'll definitely recover. Take the medicine properly and you'll definitely recover. Husband, you'll be fine. Shi Fengming felt that he had really lost to her. He couldn't help but feel irritated. He kept a cold face and refused to speak. Zhou Jingyi understood that he had a bad temper when he was sick. Seeing this, she didn't get angry and continued to persuade him gently. Shi Fengming became impatient and simply closed his eyes to let her speak. He pretended to be deaf and mute. Zhou Jingyi saw that her persuasion was useless and was a little annoyed. She gently placed the medicine bowl on the table and raised her voice, Xiao Cui. Shi Fengming was startled. He opened his eyes and looked at her calmly. Second young mistress, is something the matter? Xiao Cui hurriedly walked in. Zhou Jingyi then said, Come over and help me hold down second young master. Don't let him move around. It's time to take the medicine. As she spoke, Zhou Jingyi had already stood up and pressed down on Shi Fengming with both hands. What are you doing? Let go. Shi Fengming struggled angrily. Hurry up and come over. Zhou Jingyi shouted at Xiao Cui with a cold face. Ah, yes. Xiao Cui was a little frightened. She hurriedly went forward and pressed Shi Fengming hard according to Zhou Jingyi's instructions. How dare you? How dare you? Shi Fengming was flustered and exasperated. Use more strength. Zhou Jingyi said coldly, Second young master is willful. Are you going to follow his nonsense? How can you recover if you don't take the medicine? Do you want to be beaten? Xiao Cui decisively made up her mind and used more strength. How dare you? Damn girl, are you tired of living? Shi Fengming wasn't willing to give in so easily and was furious. I'm here. Nothing can be blamed on you. What are you afraid of? Zhou Jingyi said again. Xiao Cui ignored Shi Fengming's shouts and held him down tightly. Chapter 278. Zhou Jingyi picked up the bowl of medicine and sat on the edge of the bed. She held Shi Fengming's chin tightly with one hand and poured the medicine into his mouth with the other. Shi Fengming had never been treated like this before. He was so angry that the veins on his forehead bulged. He glared at Zhou Jingyi. You evil woman, how dare you? How dare you treat me like this? I'll teach you a lesson. Second young master, it's better for you to recover from your illness first. Zhou Jingyi said gently. It seems that this medicine is quite effective. Second young master, after taking the medicine for a few days, you've become much more energetic and strong. Shi Fengming was shocked and subconsciously stopped struggling. However, Zhou Jingyi used her hand to force his mouth open and poured the medicine down his throat. A strong sense of bitterness attacked him. Shi Fengming frowned and opened his mouth to shout, but the medicine flowed down his throat even faster. Shi Fengming swallowed involuntarily. Just like that, Zhou Jingyi poured the entire bowl of medicine down his throat. All right. Zhou Jingyi gently let go of him and gestured for Xiao Cui to leave. She smiled slightly and said, Second young master, after taking the medicine, you'll definitely recover very quickly. Looking at the flustered and exasperated Shi Fengming, Zhou Jingyi felt a sense of satisfaction and relief that she had never felt before. Although he glared at her like a knife, wishing that he could cut her into pieces. You evil woman! How dare you! Shi Fengming was flustered and exasperated. Water, quickly get me some water to rinse my mouth. Zhou Jingyi gently placed the bowl of medicine on the table and said indifferently, Second young master, since you've called me an evil woman, why are you still ordering me around? I'll go back first. I'll ask Xiao Cui to bring you some water. Zhou Jingyi turned around and left. Shi Fengming was stunned. He stared in shock at her leaving figure and felt a deep sense of disharmony in his heart. Wasn't this woman always as gentle as water in front of him? Why did she suddenly seem like a different person? She actually dared to use force on him. She even dared to not respect him. How preposterous! Shi Fengming wished he could jump off the bed and chase after her to settle the score with her. However, thinking of his current role, he could only grumble and give up. The bitter taste in his mouth. He frowned and shouted, Xiao Cui! Xiao Cui! At night, Zhou Jingyi came again. Shi Fengming was full of resentment and was even more unwilling to see her. He closed his eyes and pretended to be asleep. Zhou Jingyi saw that the muscles on his cheeks were stiff and his eyelashes were fluttering from time to time, but she didn't expose him. She instructed Xiao Cui and Nanny Yu to stand guard outside before leaving. The two elders of the Zhou family had originally planned to come over the next day, but who would have thought that they would be held back by another matter? They could only send the young master of the Zhou family, the housekeeper, and the proper nannies of the inner residence over to take a look at the situation first. In a few days, the two elders would come again. Seeing that the person who came was a young master from the Zhou family, it was obvious that the matter of the divorce could not be discussed with him. Even if she did, he would not dare to make the decision. Second old Mistress Shi was a little disappointed and revealed her family's intentions to young Master Zhou, telling him to go back and tell his parents. She did not keep him any longer and told him to take a look at Bai Luo Pavilion before returning. Just like his parents, young Master Zhou loved his sister dearly. He also disliked his brother-in-law who made the Zhou family lose face and his sister suffer grievances. When he heard that Madame Zhou's intention was to take pity on his sister and was willing to let her return home with dignity, he couldn't help but feel secretly happy. He was originally unwilling to visit Shi Fengming, but at this moment, he went over willingly. Shi Fengming was living in an abyss of suffering. After Zhou Jingyi heard Shi Fengju's words, she felt that it was quite effective and Bai Luo Pavilion became her world. Especially when it came to the matter of drinking medicine, she refused to budge an inch. Shi Fengming was so angry that his eyes were about to spit fire, but there was nothing he could do about her. He was still a weak patient and couldn't possibly jump up and go against her. Instead, he had to carefully hide his intentions, afraid that he would accidentally expose himself and fail at the last step. No matter what he said, Zhou Jingyi refused to budge. She directly said, "We'll talk about it when you're better," and retorted. Shi Fengming was so angry that he shouted, "Then what if I die? If I die, will you be willing to leave the Shi family obediently?" Zhou Jingyi's expression changed slightly when she heard this, but it was only for a moment before she said, "Don't talk nonsense, I won't die. If that day really comes, you won't have to worry about my whereabouts, right?" Seeing his expression turn extremely ugly, Zhou Jingyi hurriedly said, "Don't worry, I won't bring shame to the Shi family. I'll definitely protect you for the rest of my life. In a few years, when big brother and sister-in-law have more children, I'll ask father and mother to make the decision to adopt one of them to inherit your lineage." She really thought far ahead. Shi Fengming felt that he couldn't even vent his anger. In the blink of an eye, it was noon and time to drink the medicine. Seeing Shi Fengming's vigilant gaze, Zhou Jingyi smiled slightly and sighed, "Won't it be better for everyone if you drink the medicine properly? Why bother? Why did she have to make it so ugly?" Shi Fengming glared at her hatefully, but he knew that she was right. There were plenty of medicine anyway. How many bowls could he smash? He might as well drink it to his heart's content, lest this woman summon the maidservants to join in the fray. He didn't know where to put his master's face. "Give it to me." Shi Fengming took the medicine with a cold face and drank it all in one go. Zhou Jingyi was already holding a cup of tea to rinse his mouth. Seeing that he had finished drinking, she hurriedly handed the cup of tea over and took the bowl of medicine. He raised his eyes and saw her slightly smiling face, seemingly very pleased. Shi Fengming suddenly felt very indignant and unhappy. He scolded angrily, "You vicious woman! Vicious woman! You have such a vicious heart." Although it had only been less than 2 days, his scolding became more and more fluent. Zhou Jingyi was already used to it and didn't care at all. But even if she didn't care, someone else cared for her. Master Zhou, who had just walked out of the room, was furious when he heard these words. He took a few steps forward and kicked the door open. He glared coldly at Shi Fengming and shouted, "Bastard, who are you calling a vicious woman and a vicious woman?" Shi Fengming almost couldn't recognize who Master Zhou was. Only when he heard Zhou Jingyi call out in surprise, "Brother!" did he know that he was his brother-in-law. How could he swallow his anger and admit it when he was scolded? He even hoped that the Zhou family would make a fuss. The bigger the fuss, the better. He glared back and sneered, "Do you see a third person in this room? I've never seen such an uncultured woman. Your Zhou family raised such a good person. Preposterous. Bastard. Bastard. If I don't teach you a lesson today, my surname is not Zhou." Master Zhou was so angry that his body trembled. He raised his hand and punched Shi Fengming's face. "Big brother. Don't." Zhou Jingyi was stunned. She instinctively tried to block the punch. She screamed as the punch landed on her cheek. She couldn't help but fall onto the bed. Although this punch didn't land, Master Zhou used a lot of strength in his anger. Zhou Jingyi was in so much pain that tears came out of her eyes. The corner of her mouth and cheek were burning with pain. She didn't need to look to know that it would be swollen. The two men were stunned. Master Zhou was in disbelief, and Shi Fengming was even more in disbelief. "Xiao Yi, are you crazy? He treated you like this, and you're still protecting him. He's already scolding our Zhou family. Didn't you hear? Get out of my way. I'll beat this bastard who can't tell right from wrong." Master Zhou's heart ached. He was even more exasperated. He reached out and pushed Zhou Jingyi to the side. "Big brother. Big brother." Zhou Jingyi's tears streamed down. She struggled and cried, "Big brother, he didn't mean it. Big brother, don't be angry, okay? He's sick now. You can't hit him. Big brother, if you're angry, just blame it on me." It's all my fault. I've caused Big Brother and Father and Mother to suffer. Zhou Jingyi cried and begged. No. Master Zhou said angrily, I can't take this lying down. Get out of my way. His stinky mouth needs to be taught a lesson. If you're still my sister, or still a member of the Zhou family, then get out of my way. You've already been humiliated to this extent, and you still want to endure it. If Father and Mother know about this, they'll be heartbroken. Get out of my way. Big Brother. Zhou Jingyi knelt down in desperation. She pulled on his clothes and cried, Please don't. Don't be so calculative with him, okay? He's sick, he can't take it. He's just frustrated. He definitely didn't mean it. Don't be so calculative, okay? Big Brother. Master Zhou was so angry that he couldn't speak. He looked at his sister who was crying in front of him, then looked at the silent one on the bed. He was also angry. He stomped his feet and said, Forget it, forget it. You can do whatever you want with your own matters. I don't care anymore. After saying that, he flicked his sleeves and pulled back his clothes. He turned around and left angrily. Zhou Jingyi looked at his back. Her lips moved, but she didn't say anything. She took out her handkerchief and wiped her tears. She stood up from the ground and looked at Shi Fengming who was lying on the bed. Shi Fengming subconsciously avoided her gaze. He suddenly felt an indescribable feeling in his heart. This feeling made him feel extremely uncomfortable and awkward. He felt that he should say something at this moment. Should he ask her if it hurt? Or say something like, I'm sorry? However, his mouth felt as if it was weighed down by a weight. He couldn't even move his lips. Zhou Jingyi originally thought that he would say something, but unexpectedly, he didn't even say a word. Her heart turned cold and she almost cried again. Do I annoy you so much? Shi Fengming, what did I do wrong to make you treat me like this? I only want to stay by your side to take care of you and watch you get better. Why won't you even give me this chance? Am I so unbearable in your heart? Shi Fengming's heart was extremely sour. He raised his eyes and glanced at her. Why do you have to do this? I'm just waiting for death. It's not worth it for you to do this. I'm doing this for your own good. Shut up. Zhou Jingyi cried. It's none of your business whether it's worth it or not. I really have to do this. I shouldn't have liked you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to belittle me. Zhou Jingyi's heart ached. She covered her face and ran out crying. Shi Fengming was completely stunned. It was as if he had been struck by lightning. He widened his eyes in shock and couldn't regain his senses for a long time. What did she say? She said she liked him. Chapter 279. Like her? Shi Fengming's lips curled into a mocking smile. There was once a woman who shyly told him that she liked him and wanted to be with him for the rest of her life. However, her life was so short that it added up to less than 1,000 days and nights. Later on, he found out that she meant that she liked the second young master of the Shi family, the richest man in Qingzhou, and not him. Now, there was another person who said that she liked him. He wondered what she liked. Shi Fengming took a deep breath and tried his best to ignore the teary eyes in front of him. He closed his eyes tiredly. She should have given up this time, right? That would be for the best. Shi Fengming originally thought that Zhou Jingyi would run away in anger and sadness and never come back. Unexpectedly, she came back in the evening when it was time to eat and drink medicine. Her face was still covered with gauze, revealing only a pair of faint eyes. Eat. The medicine is already brewed. I'll bring it to you later. Zhou Jingyi came in with a food box. Xiao Cui quickly pulled the table to the bedside. Shi Fengming moved his lips but did not make a sound. For some reason, he was suddenly a little afraid of her and did not dare to talk back to her. It was not that he was afraid, but he did not dare to provoke her. Zhou Jingyi brought out the dishes. Shi Fengming glanced at her and obediently picked up the bowl and chopsticks to eat. The dishes were sumptuous and steaming hot, but they tasted like wax in his mouth. He could not help but look at Zhou Jingyi uneasily. Zhou Jingyi sat on a chair at the side with her eyes lowered as if she was thinking about something and ignored him. The atmosphere in the room was a little dull. Cough, that. Shi Fengming tried his best to eat half a bowl but could not swallow any more. He put down the bowl and chopsticks and asked, "Is the injury on your face serious? Big brother and sister-in-law should have some good ointment. You can ask someone to get some later." Zhou Jingyi did not say anything. When he did not get a reaction from her, Shi Fengming suddenly had an indescribable feeling in his heart. He would not admit that he was a little disappointed. He could not help but laugh at himself secretly. Women are indeed the same. I can't be too good to them. Once I treat her well, she will put on airs. I'm done eating. Clean up. Shi Fengming was a little dispirited. Zhou Jingyi got up and put away the food. She carried the food box and turned around. Suddenly, she said, "My brother didn't use much strength. It's fine." She walked out after saying that. Shi Fengming was stunned, and the corners of his mouth unconsciously curled into a faint smile. Shi Fengju came over after she finished her medicine. Zhou Jingyi bowed to him and left the room, leaving the two brothers to talk. "Why are you so distracted today? What's wrong?" Shi Fengju asked with a smile when he saw Shi Fengming looking listless. Seeing that he had suddenly become much more obedient, Shi Fengju also guessed that it was most likely related to Zhou Jingyi. He thought to himself that his sister-in-law was indeed an honest person. She had found a way to follow what he had taught her yesterday so quickly. When Shi Fengming heard the question, he hesitated for a moment before saying in a muffled voice, "Young Master Zhou came today." "Young Master Zhou? Your brother-in-law?" Shi Fengju laughed and said, "No wonder you look like this. Why? Did someone teach you a lesson? I say, just bear with it. She only has one sister. It's inevitable that she'll be resentful if you bully her like this. It'll be fine if you vent it out. Even if you divorce, the two families can't become enemies in the future." "No, that's not right." Shi Fengju took a deep breath and looked at him with a puzzled expression. "Since when did you become someone who listens to others' scoldings? After being scolded by your brother-in-law, you're like a rooster that has lost a fight. This isn't like you. Even if you were scolded by second uncle and second aunt, I don't think you'll take it seriously. Let alone an outsider. Big brother." Shi Fengming was a little angry and embarrassed. He called out unhappily and could only say, "He hit me." Shi Fengju's expression changed slightly. He hurriedly looked at him and said, "What did you say?" "He hit you. Did he hurt you?" Even if the Shi family owed the Zhou family, they could not allow the Zhou family to hit them. Moreover, Shi Fengming was still sick. Young Master Zhou's actions were too much. No. Shi Fengming did not expect Shi Fengju's reaction to be so big. His heart warmed, but he felt even more embarrassed and unable to speak. "It's good that you didn't." Shi Fengju let out a sigh of relief. However, he frowned and said, "Even if you didn't hurt them, it's still too much. Let's wait for Lord Zhou and Madame Zhou to come and settle this with them. Don't worry, we won't renege on what we owe them. However, we won't tolerate other people's impudence and rudeness." No need. Shi Fengming immediately became anxious when he heard this. Seeing that he couldn't hide it anymore, he could only mumble and explain what happened with the heavy object. He only skipped the part where Zhou Jingyi took a beating for him and said that she liked him. If he didn't say it now, how could young Master Zhou not tell his parents about it when Shi Fengju asked about Lord Zhou and Madame Zhou? When the truth came out, wouldn't Shi Fengju be embarrassed? Shi Fengju listened for a long time without saying anything. He only looked at Shi Fengming and said with a smile, "I was wondering why you seem to be more honest today." "So that's why." Shi Fengming was slightly disappointed. He thought that Shi Fengju would feel indignant and scold him. That way, he would feel a little better. Who knew that he would say such a thing? It made him feel as if his hopes were dashed and he felt a little sullen for no reason. "Big brother," Shi Fengming smiled awkwardly, "do you have any ointment that reduces swelling and bruising?" Ask someone to send a bottle to her later. After all, she took that punch for me. I don't want to owe her anything. Okay, I'll go back and look for it. I'll ask your sister-in-law to send it over. Shi Fengju nodded. Shi Fengming saw that he didn't take the opportunity to laugh at him and secretly let out a sigh of relief. The slight awkwardness in his heart also disappeared. He hurriedly said with a smile, "Big brother, when sister-in-law asks someone to send the ointment over, don't say that it was me who said it. I don't want her to have any other thoughts." Okay. Shi Fengju nodded again. Then many thanks, big brother. Shi Fengming hurriedly said with a smile. Shi Fengju also smiled. He thought to himself, why are you still so awkward? It's just a small matter, yet you have to make it like this. If you weren't my brother, I wouldn't have the patience to play such a boring game with you. After sitting for a while longer, Shi Fengju got up and left. He returned to Ning Garden. At night, he indeed asked Sang Wan to find a bottle of ointment and asked Sang Wan to have someone send it over. Sang Wan then asked Xing Ji to send it to Su Xin Pavilion. Shi Fengju couldn't help but laugh when he thought about this matter. He then told Sang Wan. Sang Wan heard this and sighed. Her watery eyes were half resentful and half dissatisfied as she glared at him. She said, "Aren't you two brothers going a little overboard? Sister-in-law is really pitiful. If she finds out the truth in the future, who knows how angry she'll be. Actually, what did she do wrong? Her mistake is that she shouldn't have liked second young master. She's really honest and straightforward. That's why she let you play with her." Shi Fengju smiled faintly and asked, "Oh? If you were her, what would you do?" Sang Wan casually said, "What would I do? Of course I would go home. Second young master clearly doesn't have her in his heart. Why bother to keep her and make him hate her? It's better to just go home and be happy. She has her parents who love her dearly and her brother who cares for her. Regardless of whether she marries in the future or not, she can live a good life. Why bother to be so entangled? Wouldn't she be the one suffering if she were to be entangled?" Shi Fengju dragged out an "oh" and leaned back on the couch. His voice was somewhat faint as he said, "So that's what Wan Nyong thinks." Sang Wan didn't notice the emotion in his words and continued to say, "Is it wrong to think this way? She'll only be humiliated if she stays." Shi Fengju felt even more depressed for no reason. He refused to accept this and said, "But when we were in Hangzhou, didn't you try your best to persuade second young master to keep sister-in-law? Why did you change your mind now?" "You can't wait for sister-in-law to leave. Wan Yang, your position changed too quickly. These are clearly two different things." Sang Wan said, "I have a good relationship with sister-in-law. I can also see that she really likes second young master. If they reconcile, wouldn't it be good for everyone? It's second young master's good fortune to have a wife like her. But second young master has already pretended to be sick, and sister-in-law still doesn't leave him. According to what we said before, he should believe sister-in-law, right? He won't. This can only mean that he never wanted to keep sister-in-law. If that's the case, why should sister-in-law stay? It's better to just go home. If she leaves so easily, then she's not sincere to second young master. If she really likes second young master, why would she leave just like that?" Shi Fengju refused to accept this. Sang Wan said again, "Then what do you think is sincere? Does she have to pester him to death to be sincere? Sincerity can't withstand tests and injuries. As long as one is human, one will feel tired sooner or later. Instead of giving up at that point, it's better to let go now and leave a good impression on each other. At least, when they think of each other, they won't feel disgusted. Second young master doesn't like sister-in-law at all. So what if she's willing to stay by his side? She'll just make him hate her even more. Besides, there was Su Qing in the past. Who knows who else will be there in the future? Since second young master hates her to this extent, she'll be the one to suffer in the future." Shi Fengju suddenly sat up and placed his hands on Sang Wan's shoulders. "Are these words from Wan Nyong's heart? Does Wan Nyong really think so? Sang Wan was startled. When she came back to her senses, she couldn't help but feel vexed. She forced a smile and said, "I'm just expressing my feelings. I only have no scruples in front of you. Don't tell anyone what I said. If anyone knows, I won't be able to face them. I'm expressing my feelings." Shi Fengju sighed and said. He lowered his head and rubbed his forehead against hers. He smiled and said, "Wan Yang, I won't treat you like this. You can't leave me, okay?" Sang Wan was most unwilling to talk about the mess with Gu Fengzi and Wang. When she heard that he seemed to want to mention it again, she smiled and said, "What nonsense are you talking about? Of course I won't." "It's good that you won't." Shi Fengju pulled her into his arms and hugged her tightly. He lowered his head and kissed her gently on the lips. He said softly, "Wan Yang, I won't do anything you don't like. Mother is my mother after all. I can only make decisions for my own matters." Sang Wan forced a smile and nodded gently in his embrace. And Chapter 280. This doctor was naturally one of their own. After his diagnosis, he did not say whether it was good or bad. He only said that the situation was not as bad as before. As for whether he could recover completely, it was hard to say. However, it was not good for the patient to be cooped up in the house all day. He should go out to walk around in the courtyard more often to feel the wind and bask in the sun. His mood would be better, and it would be good for his condition. Thus, Zhou Jingyi, in addition to urging him to take his medicine on time, had one more thing to do. She asked someone to move the soft couch into the courtyard and helped him walk around every day. She did not talk much. He sat on the couch while she stood at a distance. It was unknown what she was looking at or thinking about. There was no one else in the courtyard, and Shi Fengming had no one to talk to. He could only stare at the flowers and leaves in front of him in a daze. He watched the flowers and leaves sway slightly in the breeze and smelled the faint fragrance of the flowers. It was reasonable to say that he should feel very bored, but for some reason, his originally impetuous heart had unknowingly calmed down bit by bit. He only felt that he had never been so calm and content as he was at this moment. It was as if he had lived a peaceful and happy life. This day, when Shi Fengju and Sang Wan came in, they saw such a scene. Shi Fengming sat on the couch under the tree and stared blankly at a few pots of different-colored hibiscus flowers in front of him. Zhou Jingyi, on the other hand, was standing in the corridor, leaning against a pillar and looking at the sky in a daze. The two of them seemed to be immersed in their own world. Neither of them had anything to do with the other, but they looked exceptionally harmonious. When Shi Fengju and Sang Wan walked in, neither of them noticed. One was still looking at the flowers while the other was looking at the sky. Shi Fengju and Sang Wan looked at each other. Sang Wan could not help but laugh. "Second brother, why are you in a daze?" Shi Fengju coughed. "Big brother. Sister-in-law." The two of them who were in a daze finally came back to their senses and saw the couple. Zhou Jingyi smiled apologetically and hurriedly walked over to Shi Fengju and Sang Wan. Shi Fengju subconsciously wanted to stand up as well, but he regained his senses after being stared at by Shi Fengju. He sat back down and looked over with a smile. "Big brother, sister-in-law, why are you here?" Zhou Jingyi quickly smiled and said, "This courtyard is filled with the smell of medicine, sister-in-law, don't stay here for too long." As she said that, she took out a piece of gauze from her bosom and smiled, "This is clean, sister-in-law, please cover it up." Sang Wan held his hand and said with a smile, "There's no harm in the courtyard. Aren't you also not covered? I'm not that weak." Zhou Jingyi smiled. Shi Fengju took the gauze and carefully covered Sang Wan's mouth and nose with it. He said with a smile, "It's better to be careful. Your body is weak." Sang Wan looked at him and smiled gently, allowing him to no longer refuse. Shi Fengming only felt that his teeth were about to fall out. He thought to himself, "Big brother, you don't have to be like this. You and sister-in-law clearly know that I'm pretending. The two of you are acting too much." Zhou Jingyi looked at Shi Fengju's gentle actions and expressions. The two of them looked at each other with smiles and affection, as if nothing in this world could interfere. She then glanced at her husband, who was sitting on the couch and couldn't even be bothered to look at her. She felt a sense of loss and said with a smile, "Big brother, sister-in-law, please wait for a moment. I'll go get 2 chairs for you." "There's no need for that." Shi Fengju smiled and said, "The weather is good. It's good for us to stand and walk around in this courtyard." Shi Fengju said, and then turned to look at Sang Wan with a smile. "Wan Yang, are you tired? If you're tired, you can sit down." Sang Wan shook her head with a smile. "I'm fine." She didn't know why, but when they were in Hangzhou and on the way back, Shi Fengju had always been so gentle and considerate to his wife. Shi Fengming had secretly mocked his brother at first, but he had gotten used to it. However, at this moment, seeing the husband and wife so intimate in front of him, he couldn't help but feel uncomfortable. He coughed and said with a smile that wasn't a smile, "Big brother, sister-in-law, it's not easy for you to come and see me together. Why don't you say a few words to me? You're the only ones talking." Sang Wan glared at Shi Fengju and said, "Look at you." Shi Fengju smiled at her in a good-natured manner and then said to Shi Fengming, "How are you? Are you feeling better today?" Shi Fengming snorted and said resentfully, "I'm feeling better. At least I haven't gone moldy." Sang Wan went over to Zhou Jingyi to talk to her. She asked her a few questions and reminded her to take care of her body so that she wouldn't fall ill from exhaustion. Zhou Jingyi nodded repeatedly. Her eyes reddened as she forced a smile and said, "Thank you for your concern, sister-in-law. I'll take care." In this residence, the only person who truly treated her with sincerity was this sister-in-law in front of her. She had been taking care of Shi Fengming these past few days, but when had he ever said a word of concern to her? It was already good enough that he had a cold face and cold eyes. Earlier, he had even called her an evil woman, a vicious woman who couldn't wait to kill her. When people compared themselves to others, it was impossible not to feel sad and disappointed. "Sister-in-law, thank you for being so good to me. I'll always remember your kindness to me," Zhou Jingyi said with a smile. "Why are you saying such silly things out of the blue?" Sang Wan said with a smile, "The two of us can be considered to hit it off, and we're sisters-in-law. Isn't it only right that I treat you well?" "And sister-in-law is right." Zhou Jingyi's heart was filled with bitterness, and when she spoke, she unconsciously sounded like she was about to cry. "What's wrong with you?" Sang Wan jumped in fright and unconsciously raised her voice, immediately attracting the attention of Shi Fengju and Shi Fengming. "Nothing, nothing." Zhou Jingyi couldn't help but feel embarrassed, but the tears in her eyes couldn't be stopped. She didn't dare to raise her head, nor did she dare to raise her hand to wipe them away. She hurriedly said with a smile, that's right, sister-in-law, you're so good to me. I'm very grateful." Even though Zhou Jingyi tried her best to hold it in, her slight sobbing was still caught by a few people. Shi Fengming was stunned, and Shi Fengju frowned slightly. He felt that it was better not to get involved, so he smiled at Sang Wan and said, "We've been here for a while. Let's go back. We don't want second brother to tire himself out." Sang Wan smiled and nodded. She bid farewell to the two of them and left with Shi Fengju. Only then did Zhou Jingyi secretly heave a sigh of relief. She turned around and walked back into the room. "Hey," Shi Fengming called out to her and asked hesitantly, Are you all right?" Zhou Jingyi was furious. With her back facing him, she said lightly, "What can happen to me? You're so stubborn. Do you think everyone is deaf? Then, why did you enter the room?" Shi Fengming couldn't help but ask. Zhou Jingyi said angrily, "I'm tired from standing. Can't I go in and sit for a while?" As she said that, she took a few steps into the room. Shi Fengming pursed his lips and felt wronged. He thought to himself, why is she crying for no reason? I didn't do anything to provoke you. The two of them, one inside and one outside, went into a daze. Both inside and outside the room were silent. What Shi Fengming didn't know was that Zhou Jingyi's tears were flowing silently down her face in this room that was separated by a wall. Old Master Zhou and Old Mistress Zhou finally arrived at the Shi family and met with Second Lord Shi and his wife. Although they were polite on the surface, they were actually complaining about each other in their hearts. Especially Old Mistress Zhou and Second Mistress Shi. Their gazes would occasionally meet, and it was as if sparks would fly from the collision. I really didn't expect something like this to happen. Sigh, my Xiaoyi's life is really tough. After exchanging greetings, Old Mistress Zhou sighed and raised her handkerchief to wipe the corners of her eyes. Second Mistress Shi's expression changed and she snorted, "The one who's really pitiful is my son, Fengming. Sigh, if my daughter-in-law had some tricks up her sleeves and was able to win him over, this wouldn't have happened." Really, if something were to happen to him, how am I supposed to live on? After saying that, she also raised her handkerchief to wipe the corners of her eyes. Old Mistress Zhou was furious and glared at her coldly. "What do you mean?" Second Mistress Shi refused to back down. "What I said is the truth." "You..." "Enough, enough." Old Master Zhou quickly interrupted and asked with a sigh, "How is my son-in-law now? Is his condition getting better?" Old Mistress Zhou glanced at him unhappily and asked, "What about my daughter? How is she these few days?" Second Lord Shi quickly smiled and said, "Fengming's condition is quite stable now. He's taking medicine every day. My daughter-in-law is taking care of him and their relationship is much better than before. I think..." "What?" Old Mistress Zhou widened her eyes in shock. "In-law, what did you say?" "My Xiao-yi has been taking care of my son-in-law." "That's right." Second Lord Shi was shocked by her reaction. However, Second Mistress Shi was not convinced and snorted, "What? Shouldn't she be? Your daughter is my son's daughter-in-law. My son is sick, shouldn't she be taking care of him by his side?" Second Mistress Shi was so angry that she lost her head. She was unhappy with Old Mistress Zhou's words and could not help but raise her voice, forgetting her and her son's original intentions. Old Mistress Zhou was flustered and exclaimed, "No. I have to go take a look. How can this be? Don't you have any servants in your household? If you don't, just tell me and I'll bring a few over from the Zhou household. My son-in-law has an infectious disease. How can I let my daughter take care of him by his side?" "Umph. My daughter is my daughter-in-law and you are her parents. Why don't I see you taking care of him by his side? You're clearly bullying my daughter." Old Mistress Zhou covered her face and started crying. She wanted to rush out. "Old Mistress! Old Mistress!" Old Master Zhou was also very unhappy, but he still retained some rationality. Seeing this, he quickly pulled Old Mistress Zhou back. "Old Mistress, don't be anxious. Let's talk things out slowly. Since so many days had passed, a little more time would not make a difference." "How can I talk things out? They're already bullying us. Your son's life is important, but isn't my daughter's life? If anything happens to my daughter, I'll kill myself in your Shi household." Old Mistress Zhou became agitated. "Old Mistress Shi, what are you saying?" Second Lord Shi was shocked. "When my daughter-in-law came back that day, we advised her not to take care of him personally, but she insisted on going. She even said that all of you agreed to it, so how could we agree to it?" Old Mistress Zhou said angrily, "What reputation? I've lived for so long, why would I care about that? Unless I'm stupid, I won't use my daughter's life in exchange for a worthless reputation. My daughter would never say such a thing. I'm going to find her and ask her personally." Chapter 281. Second Old Mistress Shi was reminded by her husband's words that day. When she regained her senses, she quickly suppressed her anger and smiled. "In-law, why are you in such a hurry? Won't it be clear whether this is true or not once our daughter-in-law arrives? We are also old people. Do you think we would tell such a lie that even a 3-year-old child wouldn't be fooled by? In-law, you should sit down first. Even if we don't want to talk about it, we still have to talk about it clearly." Old Mistress Zhou sat down with a grunt and said, "You're right about the latter part. Even if we don't want to talk about it, we still have to talk about it clearly. At that time, my daughter was muddle-headed and entered your family. I won't mention this matter any more. Serves us right for being unlucky. Who asked us to not figure out the situation clearly? But my daughter was wronged in your family, and now my son-in-law is in such a state. In-law, you have to give the Zhou family an explanation. Second Lord Shi was unhappy to hear that. He thought to himself, you still have the cheek to say that you've been talking about it for most of your life. Humph, I think you're not as understanding as our daughter-in-law. What kind of nonsense is she spouting? However, second old Mistress Shi agreed and sighed. What you said makes sense too. No matter whether we admit it or not, our Shi family has mistreated our daughter-in-law. Old Mistress Zhou raised her eyebrows in surprise and thought to herself, did I hear wrongly? This shrew actually said that. Second Lord Shi and Old Master Zhou knew second old Mistress Shi well and could not help but feel puzzled. Humph. It's good that you know. Old Mistress Zhou sneered. Look at how smug you are. You'll regret it in the future. Second old Mistress Shi's heart was filled with hatred, but she still sighed, I don't know when our Feng Ming will recover. If by any chance, wouldn't that be harming our daughter-in-law? I think, why don't we just divorce? Let our daughter-in-law be free as soon as possible. How can we do that? Old Master Zhou said anxiously. Everything is still unknown, our son-in-law's situation might not be that bad. I think that's good. Old Mistress Zhou was relieved and smiled. We don't need the dowry, as long as my daughter can return safely, that's enough. In-law, how can we do that? Second old Mistress Shi quickly said, of course, we will return all of our daughter-in-law's dowry. Other than that, we will also compensate you with an additional sum. Only then can we be at ease. Since you're so considerate, then I'll thank you on behalf of my daughter. Madame Zhou smiled. Second Lord Shi pulled a long face. He wanted to refuse, but he realized that he was in no position to refuse. If they really delayed their daughter-in-law's life like this, the two elders of the Zhou family would definitely not let it go. Lord Zhou muttered to himself, it's still not too appropriate, right? After all, my son-in-law is now seriously ill in bed. If my daughter were to leave him at this time, in the eyes of outsiders, wouldn't it be too heartless? Old Mistress Zhou's expression changed slightly and could not help but scold second old Mistress Shi for being vicious. Fortunately, her husband was meticulous, or else he would have fallen for this woman's trap. She was absolutely unwilling to ruin her daughter's reputation. Second old Mistress Shi was also cursing in her heart, thinking that the two of them were really scheming to want to keep their faces. Humph, if it weren't for the fact that my son was fine, there would be no way for you to bring my daughter home. At this moment, she did not want to be entangled with them, so she looked at second Lord Shi and sighed, Lord, let's be a good person until the end. Speaking of which, it's our family that has let down our daughter-in-law, so it's only right for us to do this for her. If we delay her life because of this, how can we be at ease? What could second Lord Shi do in front of Lord Zhou and his wife? He was furious and thought to himself, you sure know how to be a good person. Why don't you think about your son? If it really comes to that, there won't even be a person to keep vigil for him. My poor son will be all alone in the netherworld, without a companion in the future. Is this something that a mother like you should say? Why haven't I seen you being so magnanimous before? Second Lord Shi was furious and sighed. What you said makes sense. How about this? Let's see what my daughter-in-law wants to do. I have no objections to her decision. His daughter-in-law was virtuous. At least he was very satisfied with her performance after her return this time. Since his daughter-in-law did not leave his son, he believed that she would not be willing to leave. Second old Mistress Shi frowned slightly. Old Mistress Zhou could not wait any longer and quickly nodded. Lord Shi is right. Then let's leave it at that. Actually, you can't blame my daughter, it's my son-in-law who let her down first. Now that things have come to this, it's useless for her to stay. In old Mistress Zhou's opinion, unless her daughter's brain was damaged, it was impossible for her not to be willing to leave. Who in the family did not treat her like a precious pearl, Who could bear to let her suffer? Wouldn't that be better than being a widow at such a young age in the Sher family? Lord Sher is right. Then let's invite my daughter over. Let's clear up this matter, then we'll go and see my son-in-law. Lord Zhou said. Old Mistress Zhou glared at him and thought to herself, this old man really doesn't know how to talk. Once this matter is cleared up, what son-in-law will there be? All right. Second Lord Sher endured the unhappiness in his heart and thought to himself, don't be happy too early, you'll know when your daughter-in-law comes. After saying that, he ordered someone to call Zhou Jingyi over. Zhou Jingyi was in a daze accompanying Shi Fengming in by Luo Pavilion's courtyard when a servant suddenly came to report that her parents were here. Zhou Jingyi was overjoyed and quickly left. When she arrived at the hall, Zhou Jingyi's sharp senses felt that the atmosphere was a little off. Before she could greet her parents-in-law and parents, old Mistress Zhou had already stood up and held her hand tightly. She looked at her nervously and asked, Daughter, are you all right? Are you all right? Mother. Zhou Jingyi smiled and said, I'm fine, what could be wrong? You and Father are finally here. I've been looking forward to seeing you two every day. Zhou Jingyi's words meant one thing, but to old Mistress Zhou and old Mistress Zhou, it had a different meaning. The two of them exchanged glances and old Mistress Zhou nodded with tears in her eyes. Good child, don't worry. We're here, leave everything to us. Zhou Jingyi was a little confused. Facing her mother's earnest gaze, she forced a smile and nodded. Second old Mistress Sher was a little impatient when she saw the mother and daughter complaining endlessly. She coughed and said, Daughter-in-law, I called you over because I have an urgent matter for you to decide. Like I said before, Fengming is already in such a state, we don't want to hold you back. Since your parents are here, they're willing to take you back. Just nod your head and this matter will be settled. Don't worry, the Sher family will not mistreat you. I guarantee that you'll leave with your head held high. Daughter-in-law, Second Lord Sher also said lightly, don't have any misgivings. Just speak your mind and I'll make the decision for you. Old Mistress Zhou was unhappy and said, Old Master Sher, that's not right. The ones who should make the decision are us, her parents. Old Master Zhou also glanced at Second Lord Sher suspiciously and nodded his head at his daughter. Xiao Yi, with father and mother here, you can say whatever you want. You don't have to worry about anything. Father and mother have always doted on you and will definitely make the decision for you. Second Lord Sher was secretly annoyed and thought to himself, what do you two mean? Are you suspecting that we're secretly threatening our daughter-in-law? Old Mistress Zhou quickly added, what else is there to say? Of course my daughter will leave with us. That's for the best. Daughter-in-law. Second old Mistress Sher was overjoyed. She glanced at Zhou Jingyi with the corner of her eyes slightly raised and a cold glint flashed across her eyes. Your parents are right, you should go back with them. Let's part on good terms. This will prevent outsiders from saying that our Sher family is mean. In all honesty, when have we ever been mean to you? My good daughter, don't worry your mother to death. Just say it. Father and mother are the ones who are truly looking out for you. You're the apple of our eye. If you don't lead a good life, we won't be able to live peacefully for the rest of our lives. We won't be able to live peacefully even if we close our eyes in the future. Old Mistress Zhou couldn't help but feel sad as she spoke. Mother. Zhou Jingyi's nose turned sour and she cried. How could she not know how much her parents cherished and cared for her? Her mother-in-law complained that she was useless and couldn't wait to chase her out of the house. Although her father-in-law would make the decision for her, how much would a man like him know about the inner courtyard? She couldn't possibly complain to him every day in the future, right? Even if he wasn't annoyed, who would she complain to? Complain to her mother-in-law? Wouldn't that be a joke? More importantly, her husband truly hated her from the bottom of his heart. No matter what she did, he would be indifferent. If he didn't see her, he would be a little happier. Why did she have to stay and make him feel uncomfortable? He was her parents-in-law's son and there were plenty of people to take care of him in the Sher family. Her presence wouldn't make much difference. After thinking about it, No matter how she looked at it, she should have left instead of staying. Zhou Jingyi secretly mocked herself. It had always been her own wishful thinking and taking things for granted. Everyone was right, only she was wrong. And Zhou Jingyi nodded and said, "Father, mother, your daughter will listen to you. Your daughter will listen to you. Father-in-law, mother-in-law, I'm sorry, your daughter-in-law can't be filial anymore. Please take care of yourselves in the future." Old Master Zhou and Old Mistress Zhou heaved a sigh of relief and nodded with a smile. Old Mistress Zhou clapped her hands happily and said, "That's right. That's right. In the future, father and mother will definitely be fine. Since that's the case, you should come back with us today. As for the dowry, we'll send someone to collect it after your household has checked it. What do you think, father and mother?" She didn't want any unforeseen events to happen. "That's good too." Second Old Mistress Sure was afraid that her husband would cause trouble again and quickly nodded. She sighed and said, "Daughter-in-law, don't say that. Take care of yourself in the future. Just forget everything that happened in the past. You're still young and still have many days ahead of you. Do as you wish. I have nothing to say about this." Second Lord Shi said coldly. Old Master Zhou and Old Mistress Zhou didn't care about his expression. Especially Old Mistress Zhou, she smiled and greeted Second Old Mistress Shi while instructing Su Qing and Su Bai to pack up Missy's undergarments and send them to the carriage so that they could return to the household later. Chapter 282. Since we're here, let's go and see our son-in-law. Oh no, Second Young Master Shi. I believe that he is blessed with good fortune and will be able to turn misfortune into blessing. Old Master Zhou saw his wife smiling and circling around his daughter, forgetting that he was here to visit his son-in-law. Even though he was no longer their son-in-law, he still had to do his part, didn't he? Ah. Yes, yes, yes. Look at my memory. Old Mistress Zhou slapped her forehead and laughed. There's no need. Second Lord Shi and his wife said at the same time. I don't think there's a need for that. We'll accept your kind intentions. Second Lord Shi's heart was filled with annoyance. Yes. Fengming is sick. It won't be a small matter if he gets infected. Let's not go. Second Old Mistress Shi thought that her son would not be willing to see his parents-in-law, so she stopped them with a smile. Old Master Zhou and Madame Zhou originally did not have a strong desire to visit Shi Fengming, but they had to mention it out of politeness. Since his parents were unwilling, they were happy to save themselves the trouble, so they said a few polite words and left the stage. Father, mother. Wait here, I'll go and bid farewell to Second Young Master, Zhou Jingyi suddenly said. I don't think there's a need. Second Old Mistress Shi smiled. Didn't you just come from there? What's there to bid farewell for? That's right, Xiao Yi, Old Mistress Zhou added. There's no need to do so. Be obedient. Mother. Zhou Jingyi insisted. Mother, please grant me my wish. Mother-in-law, Second Old Mistress Shi, please grant me my wish. I only want to see him once. I'll leave after saying a few words. Old Mistress Zhou knew her daughter's temperament. She did not want to go against her wishes and cause any more trouble at the last moment, so she nodded and said, If that's the case, then go. Come back after saying a few words. We still have to hurry home. Second Old Mistress Shi thought to herself, what's the big deal in this last moment? If she wants to be rebuffed, then so be it. If I keep stopping her, then I'll be the one being unreasonable. So she smiled and agreed. Zhou Jingyi curtsied and thanked him. She turned around and left. As for the divorce papers and dowry, she did not care at all. With her parents around, they would take care of it. When he heard that his father-in-law and mother-in-law were here, Shi Fengming felt a little guilty. He was afraid that his mother-in-law would come and scold him. That shrewish woman would not only scold him, she would even dare to hit him. Wouldn't it be embarrassing if he couldn't even hide? Shi Fengming was feeling uneasy and anxious. Suddenly, he saw Zhou Jingyi walk in. He quickly looked behind her. There was no one else. Only then did he secretly heave a sigh of relief. Your parents have gone back? Zhou Jinyi's already cold heart turned even colder. Her mouth was filled with bitterness. He really hated his own family to the extreme. The moment he opened his mouth, he asked if his parents had returned. Was he that eager for them to leave? Zhou Jingyi shook her head. They won't come over, don't worry. We'll leave soon. When Shi Fengming heard that they wouldn't come over, he was completely relieved. However, when he heard the last sentence, he raised his eyebrows slightly and looked at her. Did I hear wrongly? What do you mean? Zhou Jingyi stood in front of him and forced a smile. She said, My parents and your parents have discussed it. We'll divorce. I'll go back with my parents today. In the future, I won't be in front of you to annoy you anymore. You should be satisfied now. I think it'll be good for your illness too. Second young master, take care. Zhou Jingyi had these words in her heart several times along the way. She thought that she could say it calmly, but she didn't expect that every word that came out was like a knife cutting through her heart. Her heart was in pain. Before she could finish speaking, tears had already filled her eyes. She quickly lowered her head and blinked, biting her lip and trying to hold it in. Shi Fengming was completely stunned. His heart was blank. Divorce? She was leaving? Leaving now? He had indeed been looking forward to this day. However, when this moment really came, he was at a loss. He suddenly felt at a loss. Zhou Jingyi saw that he didn't have any reaction. He didn't even say a word. Her heart ached even more. The tears that she tried to hold back could no longer be controlled. She started to sob. She quickly turned her back to him and covered her face with both hands to suppress her sobs. I'm leaving. You must get better. Take care. Zhou Jingyi couldn't stay any longer. She turned around and ran out. She didn't want to lose her composure in front of him. It would only increase his disgust. At this moment, she really hated herself for being so useless. She liked him. She liked him so much, but what was the use? Shi Fengming didn't say anything. He just stared blankly at the door where she disappeared. He was still a little dumbfounded by what happened just now. He couldn't believe that it was real. In the morning, when she stared at him drinking his medicine, he was still secretly angry. He couldn't wait for her to leave. However, when she really left, Shi Fengming's heart skipped a beat. He subconsciously clenched his fists. She really left. In the future, he would never see her again. Was he happy? He didn't know. He retracted his gaze and stared at the bright and charming hibiscus flowers in front of him. He suddenly felt that the bright colors of the flowers were burning his eyes, making him feel very uncomfortable. As the wind blew, the petals of the blooming flowers rustled and fell to the ground silently, scattering all over the ground. The Shi family's second old master and his wife couldn't bear to delay their daughter-in-law's youth. When their son was terminally ill, they insisted on divorcing their daughter-in-law. Their daughter-in-law, Madame Zhou, couldn't bear to part with her and cried bitterly. Everyone in the household was moved to tears. However, under her mother-in-law's persuasion, she finally got on the carriage and left with her parents. When people heard about it, they couldn't help but sigh and praise. First, they praised the Shi family's second old master and his wife for being righteous. Second, they praised Madame Zhou's love for her family. After sending off the Zhou family, the Shi family regained its peace. However, everyone had their own thoughts. Gu Fengzi disagreed in her heart. She thought that Zhou Jingyi was really a fool. Even with the support of her family, she couldn't even win against a prostitute and ended up in such a state. She was pitiful and deserved it. Sangwan was also very sad. She didn't expect things to end up like this. Zhou Jingyi's heart-wrenching cries still echoed in her ears. She could see that she really couldn't bear to leave, but she had no choice but to take this step. Shi Fengming had really let her down. In the carriage, Zhou Jingyi was still sobbing. Her voice was choked with sobs, her cheeks were red, and her chest was throbbing with pain. Old Mistress Zhou's heart ached. She helped her wipe her tears and gently patted her back. She sighed and persuaded, Alright, don't cry. Look at you, it's just an act. Why are you crying so hard? It's all in the past. Be good, don't cry. Zhou Jingyi didn't explain. She laid in her mother's arms and sobbed for a while before she stopped crying. She was tired from crying and fell asleep. Old Mistress Zhou sighed and pitied her. She carefully hugged her daughter and made her more comfortable before gently wiping away her tears. Looking at her daughter's sleeping face, she felt warmth in her heart. Her daughter finally belonged to her again. She wouldn't let her suffer any more grievances. After sending the Zhou family off, second old Mistress Shi went to Bai Luo Pavilion with a smile. She dismissed the servants and said to Feng Ming with a smile, "Feng Ming, the Zhou family has finally left. From now on, they have nothing to do with our family anymore. Hee, you don't have to pretend to be sick anymore. Just bear with it for a few more days and this matter will be over. Mother will find a good marriage partner for you. I guarantee that you'll be satisfied. Feng Ming, this time, Mother won't act on my own. If you don't like someone, we'll find another one. There are many good ladies in Qingzhou City, there's bound to be one that you'll like. When you have a family again, you can live your life well. If there's anyone outside that you like, feel free to take her in. As long as you're happy, anything is fine." Second old Mistress Shi spoke and laughed. Her face was full of smiles as she looked forward to the future. However, Shi Fengming's heart became frustrated and he said impatiently, "Enough, Mother. I'm not in the mood for that now. Let's talk about it later." Marry again? Of course, he would marry again. However, he felt that he was lacking in interest. Wasn't it just like that? It was the same no matter who he married. As long as it was a woman that was barely pleasing to his eyes, he wouldn't have any objections. Yes. Of course, it has to be later. No one would look for a marriage partner right after Zhou Shi left. Mother will secretly keep an eye out for you. You can get married next year. Second old Mistress Shi chuckled. We'll talk about it later. Shi Fengming said lazily. He couldn't help but ask, the Zhou family, left just like that? Second old Mistress Shi scoffed. What else do they want? I've given them enough face. Don't worry about Mother's work. After today, they won't be able to come and cause trouble. Speaking of which, Zhou Shi is quite interesting. She cried so hard that it looked like she was really crying. That woman, I didn't expect her to be so good at acting. Shi Fengming subconsciously trembled. She cried. Second old Mistress Shi chuckled. You're talking nonsense again. How can she not cry? If she doesn't cry, won't it seem like she abandoned her sick husband and was heartless? Shi Fengming did not speak. The scene of her tears and her suppressed cries when she said goodbye to him flashed in front of his eyes. He knew that she wasn't acting. Even Mother said so. It could be seen how sad she was at that time. Was he really worth it? This woman was really silly. She was so silly that it made him feel a little apologetic and uneasy. Mother, you should go back first. I want to be alone for a while. Shi Fengming listened to his mother's long-winded nagging. She was either saying that Zhou Shi was bad or finding another marriage for him. He couldn't help but feel a little annoyed. Seeing that, second old Mistress Shi stopped talking and smiled. Okay. Then you should rest. This time, there won't be anyone causing trouble in front of you. I'm sure you'll be in a better mood. Son, just bear with it for a few more days and it'll be done. I know. You should go now. Shi Fengming became even more impatient. You child. Look at you. Second old Mistress Shi chuckled and got up to leave. As long as her son was well and he could marry a daughter-in-law that she was satisfied with, she really had nothing else to ask for. Chapter 283. The courtyard quietened down, and Shi Fengming suddenly felt a little uncomfortable. Actually, when she was around, he rarely spoke to her, and she also spoke very little. Most of the time, she was quiet. But at this moment, it felt different. Not only was it quiet, but it was also empty. It was so quiet that he could clearly hear his own heartbeat, and it was so empty that it made him panic for no reason. Shi Fengming sighed in distress. Why was it so annoying? Second young master, it's time for you to drink your medicine. Xiao Chui seemed to have sensed that the atmosphere was not normal, and carefully carried the bowl of medicine forward. Get lost. Shi Fengming was annoyed, and when he saw this, he glared at her. Second young master. Xiao Chui was so scared that she trembled, and her heart trembled. Second young mistress had already divorced and returned to the Zhou family. She did not dare to force young master to drink medicine like second young mistress. Not only did she not dare to, but she also had to pray in her heart that second young master would not remember that she had been second young mistress's accomplice to force him to drink medicine. Otherwise, when he settled the score, she would not even have a place to cry. Put down the medicine and get out. Shi Fengming suddenly raised his head and said coldly, Yes, second young master. Xiao Chui hurriedly put down the bowl of medicine as if she had been pardoned, and ran out as if she was escaping. It was best that second young master took the initiative to drink the medicine, and it would be best if he did so in the future. Shi Fengming looked at the bowl of medicine in a daze. If she was still there, she would have brought the bowl of medicine over. Although her expression was cold, she would only stop when she saw that he drank all the medicine. He picked up the bowl of medicine and brought it to his lips. A strong smell of medicine hit him in the face, causing him to unconsciously frown and turn his face away in disgust. After taking a few deep breaths, he turned back and prepared to drink it. His stomach churned, and he hurriedly put the bowl of medicine on the side table, unwilling to take another look. This smell was too unbearable. He even wondered if Xiao Chui had put something else in the medicine when she brewed it. If not, why was he unable to drink it now, when he could drink it in the past? Shi Fengming sighed softly, got up, and poured the bowl of medicine at the roots of the flowers. He did not want to drink this medicine anymore. Zhou Jingyi spent 2 or 3 days in a daze at home. Seeing her like this, old Mistress Zhou couldn't help but shed tears of heartache. Zhou Jingyi felt even more guilty towards her mother. She collected her emotions and was willing to put on some brighter clothes to dress herself up. Old Mistress Zhou was delighted to see this. That's right. Why grieve over something that has nothing to do with you? Good child, why don't mother bring you to the manor to stay for a few days to relax? Take good care of your body and adjust your mood. Next year, father and mother will pick a good marriage for you. Let's see if the Shi family won't regret it. My daughter is so good, yet she has been ruined by them for nothing. Zhou Jingyi listened absent-mindedly, but when she heard the last 2 sentences, she was shocked and could not help but exclaim, Father and mother still want to marry me off. When old Mistress Zhou heard this, her heart ached. She gently patted her hand and said with a gentle smile, Silly girl, you're still so young. How can you not get married? If you don't have a good home, how can father and mother be at ease? Don't be afraid, it's enough to suffer this kind of loss once. There's no reason for it to happen a second time. This time, father and mother will definitely investigate the other party's situation thoroughly before they agree. Don't worry. Old Mistress Zhou thought that she was frightened and hurriedly comforted her. However, Zhou Jingyi's heart felt uneasy. She forced a smile and did not reply. It was inevitable that things would change at night. Zhou Jingyi thought about it and felt that it was necessary to make things clear to her parents. In this life, she would never marry again. No matter how heartless he was to her, she would never be able to forget it. Even more so, she would never be able to become husband and wife with another strange man. Just thinking about it made her feel very uncomfortable. The next day, Zhou Jingyi expressed her intentions in front of old Master Zhou and his wife. She would rather live the rest of her life indifferently than marry again. She hoped that the 2 elders would grant her wish. Old Mistress Zhou was stunned. When she regained her senses, she blurted out, No. What kind of state are you in? Are you deliberately trying to make your parents sad? Mother, I really don't want to marry again. It's fine like this, really. Nonsense. Old Mistress Zhou said angrily, what do you mean by marry again? Do you think father and mother will harm you? What's so good about this? Don't you think that in the future, when father and mother are no longer around, you won't have anyone to care for you? You won't even have a son or daughter to rely on. How are you going to let father and mother die peacefully? Mother. Zhou Jinyi suddenly felt sad, but said resolutely, I beg you, please don't force me. I won't marry again, I really don't want to marry again. In the future, I will buy a few acres of land, or else I will become a monk. Shut up. Old Mistress Zhou was so angry that her whole body was trembling. She said, become a monk. How dare you say that? As long as I'm still alive, don't even think about it. Wait until I close my eyes, then you can do whatever you want. As she said that, she cried again, what a disappointing girl. Old mistress. Don't be anxious, listen to your daughter's words. Old Master Zhou quickly stopped her and said kindly to Zhou Jinyi, Xiao Yi, there's only father and mother here. Don't be shy, father won't beat around the bush with you. This time, father and mother will definitely find a suitable husband for you. Don't worry about this. If you still don't want to marry, you must have a reason, right? When old Mistress Zhou heard that, she stopped crying and looked at her daughter. Zhou Jinyi was a little embarrassed and lowered her head without saying a word. Say that she couldn't forget Shi Fengming? That's why she didn't want to marry again? If father and mother knew, they would be so angry that they would be speechless. But if she didn't say that, what reason did she have to refuse? Did she really have to go along with father and mother's wishes? That way, she wouldn't be happy for the rest of her life. She couldn't lie to herself. Daughter, tell father and mother the truth. Father and mother aren't unreasonable people, right? Aren't we doing this for your own good? If you don't want to say it, you'll really make father and mother sad. Old Master Zhou sighed. Father, Zhou Jinyi was anxious, but she still couldn't say it. Ah, I know. Old Mistress Zhou looked at her suspiciously and suddenly exclaimed, Xiao Yi, don't tell me you're still thinking about that heartless man from the Shi family. Zhou Jinyi was stunned and looked away with a guilty conscience. It's true. Old Mistress Zhou was flustered and exasperated. The more heartache she felt, the angrier she became. She scolded with a sullen face. You wretched girl, do you really want to anger me to death? He almost came to humiliate you, but you're still thinking about him. What's there to think about that heartless and unscrupulous thing? Let me tell you, you have no choice but to marry him. From today onwards, you'd better obediently stay in the residence and wait for the bridal sedan chair next year. This matter is settled, there's no room for discussion. Mother. Zhou Jinyi's face turned pale. She knew that her mother would do as she said. Don't call me mother. There's no room for discussion. If you're my daughter, you'll listen to me. Old Mistress Zhou's face was cold. All right. Xiao Yi, go back to your room first. This matter isn't urgent anyway. Both of you, don't be too agitated. Go. Old Master Zhou waved his hand at his daughter. Zhou Jinyi bit her lips and held back the tears in her eyes. She turned around and ran away while sobbing. That wretched girl, she really wants to anger me to death. Old Mistress Zhou said angrily. Old Master Zhou glanced at her. Our daughter has just returned from her divorce and her heart is still sad about Rizhong. Why are you in such a hurry to bring this matter up? Can't you wait a little before bringing it up? Old Mistress Zhou sneered. Sad? I think it's time to have a banquet to celebrate. What's so bad about leaving that quagmire of a life? I don't know what kind of bewitching potion that brat gave her to make her so infatuated with him. You can't object this time. My daughter can't be ruined like this. I must find a good family for her. You're pushing her too hard. Aren't you afraid of causing trouble? It's fine to wait a little before bringing it up. Old Master Zhou frowned. How is it fine? Old Mistress Zhou shouted. Don't tell me we have to wait another 2 or 3 years. Over the years, all the good people have been picked away by others. I want to force her so that she can forget the past as soon as possible. When she remarries and finds a considerate husband, she can quickly give birth to another child. Naturally, she will forget everything that happened in the past. If we allow her to let her imagination run wild at home, that would be terrible." Old Mistress Zhou spoke eloquently. It seemed to make some sense. Old Master Zhou didn't say anything and only sighed, "But I think our daughter won't comply. You should talk to her nicely and let her slow down a little." Old Mistress Zhou snorted, "Don't worry. When she has a good husband and good children in the future, she will naturally know that I'm doing this for her own good. If she's being difficult with me now, she will only know my painstaking efforts in the future." Zhou Jingyi's heart was in a mess and she couldn't calm down. Old Mistress Zhou was annoyed with her failure to live up to her expectations. She didn't come downstairs for 2 days and she didn't even take the initiative to visit her. Zhou Jingyi was anxious, afraid that she would really go to find a marriage partner for her. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. Early in the morning, she dressed up and rushed to the upper room to pay her respects. Old Mistress Zhou heard a servant report, "Miss is here." She couldn't help but smile and ordered the servant to let her in. She knew that she was just a child. Since she didn't pay attention to her, she felt that it was meaningless for her to make a fuss for 2 days. Who knew that when Zhou Jingyi arrived, the mother and daughter were talking nicely at first. But when Zhou Jingyi changed the topic and brought up the issue of marriage, the two of them immediately quarreled again. One was annoyed at her daughter's disobedience and refused to back down. The other was annoyed at her mother for being unreasonable and refused to comply. The mother and daughter quarreled more and more, each feeling wronged and couldn't help but cry. Old Mistress Zhou's pity and anger made her speak more and more angrily. She said that there was no need to wait until after the new year and they should settle the marriage before the new year. It was better to let her give up early. Zhou Jingyi's heart was in great pain and she couldn't help but cry. In her sadness, she pulled out the golden hairpin and threw it on the ground. She found a pair of scissors and held a strand of her glossy black hair in her hands. She would rather be a sister-in-law than marry. The servants were so frightened that they rushed forward and grabbed the scissors to stop her and helped her tie up her hair. "Mother, I've made up my mind, don't force me. I can live well on my own, really. Mother, I beg you, don't force me anymore. I will never get into the sedan chair again." Zhou Jingyi let the crowd take the scissors away and cried to old Mistress Zhou, "You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.